High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
In the immortal words of Bertrand Russell.
No, I will put up with a very good deal, but I will not put up with student essays quoting Bertrand Flaming Russell. Bertrand Russell never understood a word of philosophy in his life. Don't waste your time reading Bertrand Russell.
Right.
You'll get more philosophy out of reading Wilbur Smith.
Right.
Or Lynn Truss. You must stop writing like a sixth former after a heavy night. You're at Cambridge now, you're with the grown-ups.
And here I am, being burned at the stake. It was not a nice way to go.
No, I imagine not.
Now, this is the rack. Much used in the Middle Ages on heretics and traitors. Oh.
And celebrity historians.
What on earth are you doing?
Watching a video nasty. Sorry, I'll pause it. I got all his programmes on tape, you know. I'm an enormous admirer of his televisual technique. Such a perfection of vulgarity.
He is dead, Gilbert. How perfectly macabre.
Not at all. I could watch Peter on the rack for hours on end.
The inquest is all over the papers. The death of Cambridge historian and television personality Peter Devanti was due to natural causes, a coroner's court found yesterday.
Yes, I saw. I wonder what constitutes a natural cause in the case of a creature as unnatural as Peter.
Now, we mustn't speak ill and all that.
Oh, what a humbug. Massive internal hemorrhaging due to a bursting of the ego. Is that a natural cause for a television personality?
Peter was a distinguished historian.
Really? Distinguished by what exactly?
He was a fellow of this college and a celebrated historian, as are you. Admittedly, he did not produce as much original scholarship as we would have liked.
On the contrary, he produced enough of it to demonstrate that even the award of a Cambridge Fellowship can be a mistake. I always thought Peter's attempts at scholarship were a highly sophisticated joke.
He happened to end up on television.
By accident, you mean?
No, by ambition. Do we despise that at Cambridge nowadays? He brought history to the masses.
Yes.
And, admittedly, he became rather well known and extremely rich.
Bernard, do stop oozing hypocrisy like pus. Peter Devanti was a popular historian. Of course everyone hated his guts. What a performer.
You know what they're after, don't you?
Master?
Bernard and Gilbert. The college bursar and the college snake. They're after my job. Well, they're not having it.
Certainly not, Master.
I'm good for 20 years yet.
Of course you are, Master.
Mind you, being master of this college is rather like being eaten alive by sharks. The good news is that you'll be eaten very slowly. Now, where was I?
Dear Simon, we are holding a little memorial service in the college chapel for Peter Devanti, who was, of course, a contemporary of yours. Indeed, I believe that you were friends.
Yes. You will, I feel sure, have read about his death, and I hope you will join us in our little homage to his memory. The death has, of course, been ascribed to natural causes, and the police have no further interest in the matter. Whilst I do not question their competence, I
Would welcome a second opinion?
Yes, exactly. I don't have a current address. I believe Simon's got some ghastly job somewhere in London.
Health and Safety Executive, Nannies, Fannies and Bossy Boots Department. Simon Harrison speaking. Buy one stupid EU directive, get one free.
Come and see me in my office, would you, Simon? Now?
Oops.
Not a sensible way to speak to your line manager, is it, Sam?
I have the distinct feeling she agrees with you.
Well, off you go.
On in due course. What do you make of this? Whilst I do not question their competence, I would welcome a second opinion. I always rated your forensic skills, even if the Cambridge examiners took a different view.
Were you really mates with the nation's favourite historian?
Oh, yeah. Yesterday when I was young. We were undergraduates together. We were both going on to fame and fortune. So he did, and I went on to Here.
The star performer of the Health and Safety Executive.
Hardly that.
Oh, come on. Your work on that train crash was brilliant.
Well, I didn't get a promotion out of it, did I? 6 months with the Major Investigations Department and then back here. It's funny how things turn out, isn't it? At Cambridge I was going to be a professor of biochemistry and win Nobel Prizes. Peter was going to be famous. About the time he became famous, I was sitting in the office next door to this, being told, "Young man, you will in future refrain from putting jokes in the electricity at work regulations." A perfectly worthy document in itself, of course, but plainly in need of some va-va-voom. And where else would you put va-va-voom if not in the electricity at work regulations?
Do you go back often?
To Cambridge? Good God, no. Reunion get-togethers have never been my thing. Standing around surrounded by famous novelists, glittering academics, cabinet ministers, and saying, "I'm Simon, I work for the Health and Safety Executive." To be honest, student days weren't exactly my happiest time. Compared with now, of course.
I take it this is about the memorial service?
In due course, Master. First of all, I wish to raise a matter of the highest seriousness.
Oh, dear. To you, everything is a matter of the highest seriousness. I suppose that's why you're dean.
No, last night, it was my privilege to give dinner in college to a most illustrious ecumenical gathering. Senior clerics from around the world.
Was the Pope there?
His Holiness did not attend in person, Master.
I see. It was a sort of Ryman's League ecumenical gathering.
It was a most illustrious occasion. After dinner, I took my guests for a tour of the college. We encountered undergraduates in a state of the most appalling inebriation. I forbear to discuss some of their behaviour.
Do you? Good. Well, if that be all...
It is by no means all, Master. It pains me to say this, but last night, 6 student members of this college mooned the Cardinal Archbishop of Lima. I see no reason for levity, Master. The students were both male and female. The Archbishop had never seen anything like it. He was aghast. The college cannot take this lying down.
No, or bending over, for that matter.
I would merely point out to you, Master, that the affair has reached the newspapers.
Oh, Lord. Yob culture at Cambridge College. Archbishop sees seat of learning. Asked what it was like to moon the Peruvian prelate. One student replied, Chile.
The effect of such stories on potential donors to the college, to say nothing of the government.
Yes, I fear you're right.
I must tell you that I intend to press for the severest penalties.
Mr. Michael Howard has the vision of a bat, the passion of a Tussauds waxwork on its day off, and the oratorical ability of a dentist's drill.
Don't you like it?
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's terribly droll.
A parliamentary sketch writer is allowed a certain leeway.
I have no problem with my parliamentary sketch writer being rude about the Conservative Party. The problem is, to put it bluntly, the parliamentary sketch.
You haven't complained about my work before. Well, OK. When I first came, you told me to stop writing like a bloody philosophy graduate. So I did.
There is nothing wrong with your work. You've been a good parliamentary sketch writer. The problem, to put it bluntly, is, well, that nobody's reading it. People just aren't interested in Parliament anymore. Zoe, there's no easy way of saying this. I'm going to be making some changes to the paper. I'm expanding the sports department, taking on some star writers.
Bloody sport!
Bloody sport is what our readers are reading, and as a result, and in the interest of balancing the books, I have no choice but to make sacrifices in other areas. Our political coverage is being reduced. We'll no longer be carrying a parliamentary sketch on a regular basis. Ronaldo and Rooney, interesting. Tony and Gordon, been there, seen it, done it.
Simon, I like to think of myself as a supportive manager. I don't kick butt or crack whips.
No, indeed.
We don't crack whips at the Health and Safety Executive. Now, I like to think that I lead by consensus. Do you think I lead by consensus?
Well...
Good. So you see, that's very positive. Now, let's see if we can agree there's a problem. Simon, I think you're unhappy.
Well, I'm getting that way.
And I'm unhappy. So we've got a consensus.
Well done, us.
You are bored, frustrated and angry. And when I look at the state of your work, I'm bored, frustrated and angry. Well, I mean, I'm not angry.
Supportively angry?
That's very good. That is really, really good, Simon. We are in a consensus of being supportively angry about your work.
Can I say something?
Simon, I want your input. Your input is in a real sense the point of this meeting. I mean, OK, I am your manager, but I don't want us to approach this in a hierarchical sense. Although your line manager is what I am.
Can I say something?
I'm totally committed to staff participation in decision-making. Do you think that I encourage staff participation, Simon?
Well,
Good! Because it is really important to me that decisions are made on the basis of consultation and exploring scenarios as a staff team.
Are you saying that if I don't pull my socks up, get my act together, put my shoulder to the wheel and my nose to the grindstone, you'll have my arse in a sling?
That is a scenario, Simon.
Gilbert, even you cannot be unaware of the appalling level of drunkenness amongst undergraduates.
This college has been here for 700 years. The level of drunkenness has always been appalling. The place was originally run by monks who were legless from matins to vespers. Your culture was invented by monks. Can we get on with something serious?
The Dean does have a point.
The Dean never has a point.
No, on this occasion I cannot agree. We must bear in mind how it looks.
This is a Cambridge college, not 10 Downing Street. We don't order our affairs according to how they look.
I'm afraid even we cannot neglect considerations of image, Patricia. Distasteful as they may be.
One of the students concerned was yours, I believe, Patricia. Caroline Kingston.
I direct her studies in philosophy. I do not supervise her morals.
Then perhaps someone should. Master, I move that these 6 undergraduates be sent down.
No.
It is the only possible response.
Master, Caroline Kingston is a brilliant girl. She has a lot of work to do, but she has the potential for a first. Doesn't the college care about that anymore? We do not have the right to ruin an academic career because of a moment's silliness.
Nor does an individual have the right to be exempt from discipline merely because of her intellectual gifts.
You know, in the 14th century, the master of this college was an abbot. He was wont to urinate off the chapel roof whilst denouncing the peasants of Cambridge in fluent Latin.
This is not the time for your historical digressions, Gilbert.
It wasn't a digression. This college is here to judge, nurture, and further scholarship. It is not here to worry about the crass and transient opinions of newspapers. Look, in the 14th century, the abbot would have piddled on the editor of the Sun and his benighted readers from a great height. 7 centuries later, the policy is still sound.
Master, I suggest we move to the vote. The motion is that these undergraduates be sent down.
Master, if that happens, I shall have no choice but to consider my position.
Some of us will bear that contingency with fortitude.
If I might make a suggestion, Master.
Bernard, please.
There is much in what the Dean says.
And the decision is urgent.
And the future of 6 young people is too important to be urgent. Can the college not, in its wisdom, allow time for mature reflection? We will vote on the Dean's motion at the next college meeting.
An excellent suggestion.
I move that we vote now.
The mood of the meeting is against you, I rather think, Dean.
And so do I. We shall move to next business. The memorial service for Peter Devanti, our dear departed colleague.
I'm being sent to Cambridge.
Coventry?
No, Cambridge. Although, to be honest, it might have been Coventry. You can never be very sure with our head of department. I'm not certain if I've been given a verbal warning, a Blue Peter badge, or the freedom to lead sheep over London Bridge.
But, sure, you were going to Cambridge anyway for this celebrity memorial service.
The point is, my dear, that I was hoping to come back.
What?
According to La Stupenda, ever since I came back from that investigating committee, I've been demotivated. You noticed this the day I shouted, "If this is life, I don't want it," in the middle of a team meeting.
Oh, yes, you did, didn't you? She's very big on team meetings, our Alice.
She feels I would benefit from spending some time at the coalface.
Oh dear.
Accordingly, I'm going on attachment to our Cambridge office for 6 months.
The coal face. You won't like that much.
Still, at least I can make sure the coffin conforms to the Health and Safety of Dead People Act of 1353.
Do I really have to cancel a whole day's philosophy tutorials for some wretched memorial service?
I'm afraid so.
I do hope the service will be in keeping with the spirit of the deceased.
It will be in keeping with the traditions of this college.
Ah, the traditional Dean. And will there be incense, Dean? You're terribly fond of incense. Whenever I attend chapel, I'm never quite sure whether to praise the Lord or ring the drug squad.
It will be seemly and fitting.
What would be suitably fitting for Peter Devanti? Pole dancers?
And television cameras, of course. He's a celebrity and he's out of here.
Gentlemen, it will be necessary for someone to say a few words. Normally, of course, I would do it myself. I hope perhaps I may be excused. Perhaps one of his fellow historians?
We saw so little of him, Master.
A brief tribute to the contribution he made, the distinction he brought on the college, his scholastic achievements.
Someone from the biology department, possibly? They have access to microscopes, don't they?
Master, I realise that I'm merely the bursar, but I would regard it as an honour.
Thank you, Bernard. Now, it's a matter of regret to me, as I feel sure to you, that the college is likely to be infested for the day by journalists. I trust we will be suitably guarded in our speech.
Concerning the choice of hymns, Master.
Immortal, invisible, God only wise, thou hast pressed the celestial off button up in the skies. Suitably modern, don't you think, Dean?
Gilbert, in the presence of reporters, I must implore you to behave yourself.
Behave myself, I always do, Master. Is this stand-up comedy or performance art, do you think?
Oh, it's a complete farce.
It's Bernard's big moment.
Master and fellows, members of college, ladies and gentlemen.
The nominations for this award.
We are here today to remember in our way a man who was known to millions, who believed that history, our history, was for everyone and not for some self-appointed intellectual elite. And I know that some of us have a problem with that. What are we, after all, a Cambridge college, if not a self-appointed intellectual elite? Some of us, if we are honest, rather resented his fame, his fortune, his worldly success, even, perhaps, his good looks, his legendary success with women, and, if I may so put it, his sexual prowess. But, my friends, there will always be backstabbers.
Spare us the details, Bernard.
I was a friend of Peter's when we were undergraduates here.
Really? And are you from the glittering world of television?
I am co-author of paragraphs 5, 6 and 7 of the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulations.
Oh, really? Oh, most interesting.
No, it isn't.
Dean. Let me introduce you to the traditional Dean. Zoe,
Redmond.
I was just saying how much I enjoyed the show.
It was not a show.
Oh, really? I thought the combination of high camp and low fast perfectly judged.
If you'll excuse me, Gilbert.
Poor Dean. He's convinced I'm going to be spending eternity somewhere inclemently warm. I should look a damned idiot if he turns out to be right, shan't I?
I'm Simon Harrison, by the way.
Oh. Gilbert Devlin. This is Zoe.
Yes, we've met. Zoe?
Hello, Simon.
Zoe was until yesterday a parliamentary sketch writer of the Times. I'm so sorry they've let you go, as it were. I was a genuine fan.
My reader, my one and only, apparently.
No, but I mean it. What was it you said about the Prime Minister? Surrounded by bag carriers, he's losing his grip.
I'm very flattered.
Oh, but you were so deliciously rude, so delightfully cynical. I didn't teach you myself, did I? One does tend to forget undergraduates, even those one isn't positively trying to forget.
No, I read philosophy.
Oh, Patricia taught you. She obviously taught you rather well.
Yeah, after SE supervisions with her, I have never been afraid of an editor.
Well, I imagine not. Look, why don't you become a cultural commentator? That's what journalists do nowadays, isn't it? Go and work for The Guardian. It's written entirely by complete cultural commentators. Well, I must go and tell Bernard how splendidly funny he was. Nice to have met you.
Delightfully rude. Deliciously cynical. God, doesn't this place bring it back?
Yes, and sometimes you wish it had stayed where it was.
Do you remember the first thing you ever said to me? 15 years ago on this very lawn, you stood there just like you're doing, and you said, do you fancy going to the pub?
Yes, I do remember.
Well, I quite fancy going to the pub now, actually. Take me away from all this.
Yes. There's something I've got to do first.
Okay.
I've got to see the master.
Very grand.
No, it's nothing important.
So good of you to come.
Not at all. He actually was a friend of mine, even if he didn't have many.
Nothing was ever enough for Peter, was it? He had the fame, the riches, and it still wasn't enough. He wanted this chair.
Well, it's a very nice chair.
I don't actually mean he wanted the chair, Simon. He wanted to be master. You didn't actually get a first, did you?
Sorry, yes, he wanted to be master.
And I think for some, or possibly one of my colleagues, that was the last straw. Simon, I'm right in thinking that your work at this health and safety executive hasn't all been as humdrum as you like to pretend.
Not all the time.
You investigate things, accidents, that sort of thing, how accidental they actually were. Culpable negligence.
I was involved in one investigation.
But rather a big one. And with some distinction.
If only my superiors took the same view.
Peter was not greatly liked in this college. Bernard hinted at some of it in chapel, but that's not the half of it.
But his death was an accident, surely. The coroner's verdict said so.
I want you to look into it. If you will be so good. Discreetly, of course. We've already had the police crawling all over us. Anyway, they're no longer interested. Accidental death, according to them.
How exactly did he die?
Food poisoning. A freak allergy no one could have foreseen. Nonsense.
Look, do you have any evidence? Anything at all?
I know something's not right.
Are you actually suggesting it wasn't an accident?
I'm an old man, Simon. Old and frail. And I'll tell you something. If I had the strength, I'd have murdered the bugger myself.
There's nothing disreputable in the Dean's background, is there? Nothing we can use to threaten him?
Gilbert, I'd be prepared to bet last night was the first time in his life the Dean has ever seen the buttocks of a young woman. There's nothing disreputable at all.
No. Explains a lot, doesn't it? And there's no chance this girl's parents might make a donation to renovate the chapel?
She's here on a bursary, Gilbert. Her parents haven't got any money.
In any case, I doubt the Dean is susceptible to that kind of pressure.
We're all susceptible to pressure. It's just a question of finding the weak spot. I suppose we could argue that this was a harmless reenactment of an ancient college ritual. After all, the 14th century monks must have disrobed before flagellating themselves.
I scarcely think we need a suggestion of perverted practices on top of everything else.
No. Pity. Patricia, you say the girl's parents are far from rich. How far?
Very far. Caroline's father fell ill some years ago. He's been unable to work since. The family's on benefit. If the Dean knew what that girl has been through to get into this college...
Exactly.
You mean appeal to his better nature?
I mean nothing of the kind. I mean we'll threaten him with exposure.
But he's already suffered exposure. That's what he's complaining about.
Exposure in the sun, Bernard. The cruel Dean victimising a young child with a sick father. Threatening to ruin her future. Pathetic interview with the father.
But the papers are saying this was yobbish behaviour by students.
We're talking newspapers, Bernard. They said that yesterday. They can perfectly well say the opposite tomorrow. No, try this. The perverted Dean, in a drug-crazed frenzy fuelled by incense and communion wine, seeking out students as they undress.
There's not the slightest suggestion he sought them out.
There will be if we can sell the idea to the Sun.
Did the Sun send a chap to cover the memorial service?
I'm sure they did.
Well, let's bring his existence to the attention of the Dean, shall we?
So things haven't been too great since Cambridge?
Not earth-shatteringly wonderful, no.
And it's all my fault?
I never said that.
But you thought it.
Well, you did give me the heave-ho 2 nights before my finals. You'd finished your exams, of course, and gone to London. I got your letter while I was revising. The reproductive habits of the common louse.
Simon, I did something bad 10 years ago. I am sorry. You're not telling me you've spent 10 years pining for me, lusting after my body.
Which one of those do you want me to answer?
So what have you been doing? Tell me.
After I got your letter, I got drunk. When I started my finals, I couldn't have told you the mating habits of insects from a brass band contest in Bradford.
So you didn't get your brilliant first?
No, I didn't.
I'm really sorry. So, then what?
Well, I moped for a bit.
Yes, you always did that.
And then I had to get a job.
Oh, Simon, that's terrible. A job with actual work?
I worked in accountancy for a bit.
I don't think that's really you, Simon.
No, that wasn't really me. And then I got my present job.
Yeah, what is it you said you were?
I'm a senior executive officer with the health and safety executive.
Well, there is nothing wrong with that. Oh, sugar.
Are you ready to order?
I'll have the louse.
sir?
I'm so sorry, I beg your pardon. I mean the cow.
I believe as an undergraduate she was one of Peter's conquests.
Pretty young thing. Nimble mind, quick tongue.
I wonder which of those attracted Peter.
Oh, really, Bernard, you could learn the tone of an East End public house.
Did she breathe on the heat of your desires, Dean?
I will not be provoked, not even by you, Gilbert.
That chap with the young woman.
The minor functionary?
I don't think he's a minor functionary at all. I'm absolutely certain. I saw him giving evidence to some inquiry in Whitehall. Yeah, that train crash inquiry, that was it.
And is that significant in some way?
Well, probably not. I just wonder why he spent so long with the master. What do you suppose he's here for?
I can't imagine. Oh, by the way, Dean, a word.
Oh, I really haven't the time.
Oh, I'm sure you'll have time for this.
Well, this is most gratifying. So what exactly are we proposing?
Well, we will issue a press release in which we deplore the incident as a most regrettable piece of student silliness. We state that the culprits have been severely disciplined, full stop.
But you're saying they won't be severely disciplined?
The point is, Master, that within a couple of days the papers will have moved on. There was never any need to overreact.
And you're prepared to go along with that, Dean? I thought you were demanding expulsions.
I find, on reflection, Master, I may have been a little hasty.
Well, I'm most grateful to you all. And the students concerned?
Will be reprimanded by their tutors, and that'll be an end of the matter.
Good. Do please. Excuse me.
So you're going to be stuck in Cambridge for a while.
Forever, if my boss has anything to do with it.
And this is probably the last place on earth you'd have chosen to be.
Yes, I think that's fair.
And I'm probably the last person you'd have wanted to meet.
Well, there are quite a lot of people I don't want to meet. But you are on the list. You're at least in the quarterfinals.
Thanks.
So, you know when you went off to London and wrote me that letter?
Oh, Simon, does it help to harp on about this?
Just one question. Were you with Peter?
Briefly.
You left me for him?
You're being silly. We had a fling for about 2 days. Does it matter now?
Well, only... You know, absolutely everybody had a reason to hate Peter, didn't they? Everyone. He cried aloud to be murdered. I wonder if I murdered him myself.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton, Hugh Dickson and Beth Chalmers. The script editor was Paul Schlesinger, the producer was Dawn Ellis. High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
Bernard, of course I'm sorry the master's dead, but it was hardly unexpected. And does it really matter?
Gilbert, he was the master of this college.
Yeah, I grant you in purely practical terms the death of a master has implications, but does it matter? I mean, what did he actually write? Darwin and the Midwife Toad, son of Midwife Toad, and then in the middle of Midwife Toad 3, he croaked.
He was a most eminent biologist.
Yes, strangely, I did gather that. I read all about the midwife toads. It was terribly exciting.
You know, the master once said to me, that is the difference between a biologist and a historian. A biologist is constantly filled with awe at the wonder of life, whereas a historian like you, Gilbert...
is forever disgusted by the behaviour of human beings. Yes, you may have had a point. Where every prospect pleases and only man is vile. Ah, good morning, Dean.
Gilbert, Bernard. Gentlemen, I'm here on a matter of some delicacy.
You usually are, Dean.
There must, of course, be an appropriate period of mourning.
You'll enjoy that.
Nothing must be done that is unseemly.
I was about to suggest a choir of toads around the coffin singing "It's Not Easy Being Green."
Gilbert.
A sentiment with which any corpse might be expected to agree.
If I might come to the point.
Yes, I seem to have spent my life in college meetings thinking the Dean might come to the point, but there again, he probably won't.
People do die, for Pete's sake. He was old and in failing health.
So you can't flog an article about it to your newspaper?
90-year-old man dies. Well, even the Times isn't that desperate. Anyway, they're my ex-newspaper. They sacked me, remember? Parliamentary sketch writer, bracket, fired, bracket.
It does seem odd, though, doesn't it? The master invites me up here because of what he thinks is a suspicious death. He tells me Peter Devanti, college fellow and celebrity historian, was murdered and pops off himself 10 minutes later.
Don't you think his suspicions might have been a symptom of his, well, you know, waning powers or whatever?
He didn't seem in the least bit gaga when I met him. His mind was as clear as day. And especially clear about Peter's death. It wasn't an accident, and he knew it.
And have you found any evidence?
Well, no. It had plenty of motive. TV personality, rich, famous and obnoxious.
Simon, just remind me. Peter died of food poisoning. He had an acute allergy to nuts.
Yes.
He got drunk at some posh dinner, then he was found dead in his room with a jar of nuts beside him.
Yes.
But what of it? He was smashed, he indulges in his forbidden fruit and paid the price. So what?
No, he was murdered at the dinner. The master's instinct said so, and so does mine.
Well, there you are. There's your mission in life. Find the killer.
I'm going to.
Down these mean streets a man must walk who is not himself mean.
Exactly.
Simon Harrison, detective hero extraordinaire.
Zoe, I'm serious about this.
Serious Simon Harrison, crime-busting health and safety officer.
I'm going.
Simon.
What?
You're going to be late for work.
In order to mark the master's passing, fellows will wear black, students will remain sober until lunchtime, and the dean will fly at half-mast.
Have you no respect?
For whom, exactly?
Fellows, I know that this is a solemn time for all of us, but the master would be the first one to have said, college business must go on.
Business meaning college finances?
Sadly, yes. It is scarcely too much to say that this college is in crisis.
Here we go. What exactly are you proposing, Bursar?
What I believe is termed a cuts package on the basis of cost-benefit analysis.
You can't measure scholarship on the basis of cost-benefit analysis.
Exactly. I've always regarded the teaching of history as extravagantly, aggressively useless. I'm very proud of my uselessness.
Yes, an attitude that is no longer tenable. We must cut. To begin, we must immediately cease the practice of teaching students on an individual basis.
Oh, what?
It is indefensible for individual dons to teach individual students 1 hour at a time. No other university does it. Well, unless you count Oxford. It cries aloud for reform.
This university prides itself on teaching students on a one-to-one basis. That's what we've always done. I can't teach philosophy to groups of 10 or 20.
I fear that you're going to have to.
The college's financial position is seriously worrying, of course, but that is no excuse for not maintaining our academic standards.
Bernard, as bursar of this college, are you saying that we're going to have to get used to teaching students in groups instead of one-to-one? Even quite large groups?
For inescapable reasons of economy, yes.
Bernard, if we might now move to the memorial dinner for the master.
Dinner?
Yeah, it is traditional that a dinner is held on the occasion of a master's sad passing to celebrate his life.
Oh, so as a college we can't afford to teach students, but we can afford to get legless on claret.
Nothing like a philosopher for clarity of expression. That would appear to be precisely the position.
The traditions of the college must be upheld.
What about the tradition of teaching students?
Patricia, simply because of our admittedly powerless state, we cannot mark the passing of a master with pork pies and cans of lager.
Why not?
If the meeting will excuse me, the burden of my duties.
Yes, I think we've finished, actually, Dean.
Well, I haven't.
Patricia, the new teaching arrangements are proposals for discussion. They are not set in stone. Yet.
Some members of this college would prefer it if we didn't have students at all.
Oh, budgets, balderdash and spending limits. Isn't reality awful?
I'm sorry, but that's the reality. I appreciate this is a joke shop, but as your health and safety officer, I cannot allow you to sell itching powder. It's specifically banned by the directive. It might cause discomfort.
Well, of course it causes discomfort. That's the idea. It's very popular.
You probably aren't aware of the latest government thinking. If it's very popular, it's banned.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm just obeying orders.
Oh. It's not easy running a joke shop nowadays. Even without the health and safety executive, kids aren't interested anymore.
No, I suppose not.
If you've got a PlayStation, you don't want a plastic fried egg.
No, and I'm afraid they're not going to get one either. Plastic fried eggs have no place on the modern reforming agenda.
Squirting flowers?
Sorry, they might hurt someone.
How could you hurt someone with a squirting flower?
I don't enjoy doing this, you know. I hate banning things. I wasn't put on this earth to ban things.
Oh, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. I'd like a bottle of Dr. Poo-Poo's magic potion.
Certainly, madam. Oh, don't tell me it's banned.
It's not specifically on the list. Look, I'm sorry, madam, would you mind terribly just saying that again?
I said I'd like a bottle of Dr. Poo-Poo's magic potion.
But you're a nun, madam.
Did she buy it?
Oh, yeah. Apparently it was going to make Mother feel a bit less superior.
Oh, and you didn't ban it?
I didn't ban anything. I told them to put itching powder on special offer and see if plastic fried eggs sold any better if you drew Wayne Rooney's face on them.
But you are supposed to prohibit things.
I hate prohibiting things. Did I spend 3 years reading natural sciences to go about closing down joke shops?
It's your job, Simon.
It's your job, Simon. Grow up, settle down, make the best of it. It's your job, Simon.
Yeah, all right. Now, look, we're here now. So cheer up and put your super sleuth hat on. Let's see what we can get out of the Dean.
Dean, so good of you to spare us the time.
Not at all.
We actually wanted to talk to you about college dinners.
Oh.
You have some responsibility in that direction.
It is one of my duties, my many duties, to supervise the college wine cellars and to organise our formal dinners for my sins.
Hallelujah.
I'm sorry?
There was a formal dinner on the night Peter Devanti died.
Alas.
Wasn't it up to much?
I meant, alas, for our dear departed colleague.
You would have organised the menu. Of course, you must organise so many dinners, it must be impossible for you to remember any individual meal.
But on the contrary, we began with a melon and a sort of port and raspberry, then a lightly curried soup of mushroom and green pepper, next fillet of plaice in a sauce of lemon, grapes and sauterne.
What sounds delicious.
Then noisettes of venison, and partridge, and pheasant, and Barbary duck, carrots, sodate in cider and butter, hog's pudding, mushy peas, potatoes roasted in goose fat, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Then a sorbet, then a cheese course.
Of course.
Of course.
Then woodcock, more cheese, and spotted dick with pink custard.
Your memory is remarkable.
Well, a gift from our Lord at the service of a college I love.
What was the dinner in aid of? I mean, what was the occasion?
Well, once a year we give thanks to our benefactors.
Oh, I can imagine you might, yes.
The traditions of this college are not to be lightly tossed aside.
Dean, we are most grateful for your time.
If you'll excuse me, the Master's Memorial Dinner. I must instruct the kitchen. At least now we can have trout the way I like it. I firmly believe trout should be flame grilled with almonds.
So do I. It's the only language they understand.
Honestly, Zoe, there I was doing my brilliant detective beat.
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry for taking the you-know-what, but the Dean does ask for it. Anyway, what did you find out? Nothing.
There were about 100 people at the dinner, divided into tables of 10. Zoe, think of what they ate. It would be easy to slip poison into that lot.
Yeah, but everybody at Devanti's table ate the same thing. Nobody else suffered any ill effects.
Who were the other people at Devanti's table? The bursar, the dean, Gilbert the historian, Patricia, your old philosophy teacher.
And one of them dropped poison into his soup, certain that an entire roomful of people would be looking the other way.
Of course it didn't happen like that. That's pure Agatha Christie. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. You cannot poison one person at a dinner for 100 people when they're all eating more or less the same. It's impossible.
And that's why it was done.
What?
Because this isn't just any murder. This is a show-off murder. A look at me, aren't I clever murder.
Another coffee?
No, I've got to see the boss.
You've always got to see the boss.
Can I help it if my genius is not appreciated?
Well, I'll follow up in this fellow's dinner, see what I can find out. Oh, Simon, you know when we were students and we were an item?
I can still feel the war wounds in cold weather. Why?
Well, I always fancied you for your genius.
Shut up, Zoe.
You know what they say, my enemy's enemy is my friend.
Meaning that this once, you, I and the Dean are on the same side. Unfortunate, but it can't be helped.
Well, even he's right occasionally. I mean, all right, most of the traditions of this college which are not to be lightly tossed aside are a load of damn nonsense. There wouldn't be women fellows in this college on that basis.
Now, dear Patricia, the Dean was appalled at the thought of women fellows and undergraduates.
And he's been appalled by me since the minute I arrived. Still, on this occasion, he wants what we want, so let's pool resources. Giving our students one-to-one teaching actually is a tradition worth preserving.
Indeed.
Operation Shaft the Bursar.
I'll send the Dean a note inviting him to sup with the devil.
Sorry, am I early?
It's all right. Come in, Caroline.
You're looking terribly peaky.
I've been wrestling with Hegel.
I should stick to binge drinking, darling, much safer.
Thank you, Gilbert.
See you later.
Right, now, Hegel's philosophy of mind. Fun, was it?
No, it was not.
Speak to me, O Lord, let me hear thy voice.
Hello, Dean.
For many are my sins, and deep is my wailing.
Save the whale, Dean.
Lord, thou telleth me to come forth.
And I came as fifth and won a fruitcake.
Gilbert, I am making my devotions.
And very pretty they are.
God is not mocked.
I'm not mocking him, Dean. 1,000 apologies. I seem to have got off on the wrong knee. My dear Dean, you and I have had our differences. Perhaps the fault was mine. It wasn't, but, well, perhaps.
Since we've interrupted an act of worship, Gilbert, is there something I could do for you?
The pleasure of your company, that is all. Glass of port in my rooms after lunch. Rather good stuff.
Oh, well, this is most decent of you.
Patricia will be joining us.
Oh. Well, in that case, perhaps...
Dean, far be it from me to lecture you on Christian charity, but she is a fellow of the college, like ourselves.
I say nothing against Patricia personally.
No. Of course. Some people might take flame-haired northern virago to be a tad personal, but no doubt it was a biblical reference.
The college saw fit to admit women, and that is an end of the matter.
Quite. Change can go too far, of course.
Of course it can.
Sometimes it is our duty to resist it, to protect the traditions of this college.
You know I agree with that, but...
I was hoping you might. Shall we say my room's at, 2 o'clock?
Simon, when you came here to start your attachment, I got a note about you from Alice.
Full of praise, was it? Bursting at the seams with compliments? Ah, here's the very note. This is what she wrote.
I don't do flippancy, lad.
No, I imagine not.
Ah. This is a case of a promising young man at the crossroads. He could go one way, he could go the other. Now, what does that say to me? That says to me, he's a reject. Failed in London, dump him on the Cambridge office. He's damaged goods.
The Health and Safety Executive is not a
The Health and Safety Executive is not a reject shop for damaged goods. But I'm a reasonable man. If Alice says to me, this is a promising young man, I'm prepared to give him the benefit. So I send him off to inspect a local joke shop. And what do I find?
Itching powder?
Flippancy.
Ah.
Do you know what I say when people ask me what I do? I tell them, I save children's lives. You see? I save children's lives. Now, is that flippant?
No. No, it isn't. It does involve equating the banning of plastic eggs with missionary work in Ethiopia, of course.
Simon, you may think I'm a pompous, self-important old Jobsworth.
Are we going to debate that or move straight to the vote?
I hold your career in the palm of my hand. Now, let's try you on something different. In case of child food poisoning, trust you won't find anything flippant about that.
No. It depends on the child, of course. I've always felt that poisoning obese American children would be an act of public service.
Simon...
Yes, yes, my career. My beautiful career.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I early?
No, come in. We're just finishing. Now, look, Caroline, don't get depressed.
I'll try.
It's not a bad essay. It wasn't great, but it's getting there. Look, I've spent 20 years wrestling with bloody Hegel. You've had 2 weeks. So cheer up, OK?
OK.
See you next week.
Bye.
Nice kid. She's a brilliant girl from a very poor family. We may not be seeing many more where she came from. Now they're all expected to incur debts of £8 million to get taught by the likes of me. Beer? I know it's the Cambridge thing to drink sherry before lunch, but I can't stand the stuff. Fine. You were here for Peter's memorial service, weren't you? Now you can't tear yourself away from the place.
Well, not exactly. Between me and you, the late master had some idea that, well, that Peter Devanti's death was, well, that he might have been bumped off.
How wonderful!
You didn't like him?
Oh, nobody liked him. He was rich.
You never cared much about money, though.
Well, all right. He was famous, recognised.
And I thought you were all about the purity of scholarship for its own sake.
None of us is that pure. So somebody murdered Peter, did they? Excellent. How did they do it?
Madam, your son does not actually seem any the worse.
But he might have died.
But he didn't, did he? He struck me as a perfectly normal growing lad.
My son is allergic to salt.
Yes, but he's not desperately allergic, is he? I mean, what happened? You purchased a double mega Whopper burger with melted cheese, tomato ketchup and pink custard, and it has totally unsurprising effects on your son, Bunter.
Martin, it was the salt.
And we can't really be sure of that, can we?
The salt and pepper should have been separate, in cruets. What I want to know is how much compensation I'm entitled to.
Yes, that really is what this is about, isn't it?
I'm not at all happy with your attitude. I shall complain to your superiors.
As you wish, of course. Cruet. That's how it was done. Cruet!
What are you going to do about my son?
I would give him a leaflet on healthy eating, but I'm afraid he might stick it in a sesame bun and eat it. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I've got to make a phone call.
My dear Miss Redmond, how delightful.
This is the first time I've worn a gown in 20 years.
Bloody nonsense, isn't it?
As indeed is the Dean's insistence on saying grace, in Latin and at length. We're obliged to listen to the entire works of Horace, Livy and Catullus before eating a bowl of bloody tomato soup.
We shall now say grace. Benedictus Domini et donatua.
Oh, bugger. Oh, God, I just said bugger. Sorry. Oh, God. I'm sorry.
Benedict nos Domini et donatua, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Only the abridged version today.
Since some of us seem unable to observe the appropriate reverence.
I am really very, very sorry.
My dear child, think nothing of it. I think the sunshine of your love is a rather appropriate way to give thanks.
You recognised it?
I was young once. Difficult to believe, but true. Now, how did it go? I'll be with you, darling, soon. I'll be with you till my sea's all dried up. Is your sea all dried up, Dean?
Yes, I did get your call right in the middle of lunch at High Table, as a matter of fact.
You left your mobile on at High Table? Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's what the Dean said. He was saying grace at the time. Turning it off felt like it took 10 minutes.
Well, I couldn't get through. I sent you a text.
Cruet's Simon.
Exactly. You realised what I was saying?
Well, it took me a bit of time, and then I thought, I get it. It's like Norwich and Burma.
What?
You know, knickers off ready when I come home, and be upstairs ready, my angel.
Zoe, what are you talking about?
Cruets. Come running upstairs, ecstasy tonight, Sunbeam.
You've been drinking?
Of course I have. If you just had an entire Cambridge College staring at you in disgust, you'd need a drink or several. It was very romantic of you.
No, it was Cruet.
Not ecstasy tonight?
No, for pity's sake.
Oh, Shay.
Zoe, listen. I know how the murderer did it. It was murder, by the way. That's what the message was about. Look, the murderer took his nuts and crushed them.
Did he?
Then what did he do?
I know.
What?
He nadgered his cord wangle and hung it on the line.
For God's sake, woman, we're talking murder. Sober up.
Well, then, just perhaps one more, Gilbert. This is most excellent port.
I think we should try to stay sober if we're intending to shaft the bursar.
Well, yes and no, as a matter of fact. I cannot help feeling that intoxication may have its part to play.
Are you suggesting we spike the bursar's drink?
My dear Dean, give me credit for a little subtlety. Nothing of the kind.
Then what?
Well, as I see it, we have two options. The politics of attrition, wearing down the bursar's resistance by an endless series of objections to his absurd cost-cutting measures.
His assault on the very nature of this college.
Quite so. Alternatively, we can opt for the politics of the grand gesture, the one-off. Now, personally, I must confess to a certain aesthetic preference for the grand gesture. Now, the bursar's argument is that we can no longer afford the luxury of teaching one-to-one, not cost-efficient. We must teach in larger groups.
Like primary school.
Very well. Then let us do so. Let us teach in very large groups. Very, very large groups.
Oh, Gilbert, I cannot be involved in anything recklessly irresponsible.
Think of the consequences of losing.
Exactly. If we let the bursar get away with this, he won't stop there.
You must have noticed the way he keeps eyeing College Chapel, as if he'd like to turn it into a money spinner. A Novotel for businessmen from Birmingham, or a pub.
Gilbert!
Or a fast food outlet, selling communion burgers.
Yeah, and wine in sachets.
And jingle bells playing 24 hours a day.
College Chapel has stood for 700 years.
Well, it won't stand much longer if the bursar gets his hands on it. Of course, he might preserve some of its original character as a unique selling point.
Warning, these cheeseburgers may contain the body of Christ, the health and safety executive.
How dare you!
No. My enemy's enemy is my friend, even if she is a mouthy northern harridan. Port?
We know you can't poison 1 out of 100 dinners. It can't be done. Except that it can.
The murderer filled 2 salt and pepper containers with crushed nuts.
And at an appropriate moment substituted them for the cruets in front of the victim. Now that actually is not impossible.
So everybody is sprinkling nuts over everything, but it doesn't affect anybody else. They're not allergic.
To the murder victim, of course, it's fatal.
But wouldn't they have noticed that everything tasted a bit nutty?
Curried soup? You said yourself how easy it would be to poison that. And remember, they were drinking wine. In copious quantities, Zoe.
Yes, all right. I'm sober now.
It dulls the taste buds. Your chips. Taste odd at all?
They taste of tomato ketchup. Well, I've got the taste of wine in my mouth anyway.
Precisely. I switched cruets. The ones you sprinkled all over your fish and chips are full of crushed nuts. You didn't notice a thing, did you?
How did you know that I wasn't allergic to nuts? You could have killed me.
I was willing to make the experiment in the interest of science. Anyway, you're not, are you?
That is hardly the point.
You see, if I'm right about this, I have no idea how we're going to prove it. A man is found dead with a jar of nuts beside him. He's powerfully allergic, but in a fit of indulgence after too much wine, he spoils himself. He appears to have died of eating nuts, which, damn it, is what he did die of. But it wasn't an accident. And he never touched the jar of nuts. He was murdered. It's perfect.
Gilbert, I don't like to see the college riven by argument, squabbling.
No, indeed. There'll be enough of that when we come to choose the master's successor, after all.
Nothing could be further from my mind.
Of course not.
Look, a college like this, 700 years of history, I don't want to destroy it, I want to save it. But to survive, it must adapt.
You're a modernizer.
Exactly.
Oh, joy. And any minute now, you'll be talking to me about internal markets and purchaser-provider agreements.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
No, Bernard, it isn't. Individual student tuition is the cornerstone of what we do here.
And it is going to have to be removed.
And what happens when you remove a cornerstone? Remind me.
Look, old chap, you and I go back a long way. We've seen the college through good times and bad. All I want is peace and harmony in the college.
What?
I said all I want is peace. What the devil's going on in the quad?
Ah, that'll be the Battle of Bosworth.
What?
A cost-cutting measure, Bursar. If we cannot supervise individual essays, then we must reenact events en masse.
Gilbert, that is a student riot.
There is some superficial resemblance, I grant you, but the exercise is wholly educational. Now, in the past, each individual student would have written an essay. What were the causes of the Battle of Bosworth? Well, since that is no longer permissible, the undergraduates are learning en masse and on the job.
That is an undisciplined, drunken brawl.
So was the Battle of Bosworth. Wait till you see next week, Bernard. I'm doing the retreat from Moscow.
What happened in college last night was disgraceful and inexcusable. To make matters worse, I am unable to discipline undergraduates because the whole event was inspired and orchestrated by fellows of this college. Fellows who I may say should be ashamed of themselves.
But think of the cost-benefit analysis.
Cost-benefit analysis? The college is a wreck.
The horse wasn't my idea.
In which case it was an excellent example of a student thinking for himself. That is the general idea, isn't it?
Well said.
I do support the undergraduates generally, Miss Gilbert, as you know. However, when it comes to ransacking college chapel...
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Some of them got confused and thought they were doing the dissolution of the monasteries.
The dissolution of the monasteries was a totally different historical event.
An excellent point, well made, Dean.
In a different century.
I apologise that they partially dissolved your monastery. Those responsible will make good the damage.
And I'm afraid some of them were my philosophy students. They were exploring the proposition that theory becomes a weapon in the hands of the masses.
As for the present, it is clearly impracticable to abolish the principle of individual essay tuition.
Yes!
However, before there is any unseemly triumphalism, Patricia, let me say this. If we cannot economise in one way, we shall assuredly economise in others.
And may I say how graciously, generously, and with what wisdom you have reached your decision, Bernard.
Your appreciation is noted.
I'm only sorry we won't be doing the retreat from Moscow. I suppose we couldn't do a sort of bijou retreatette?
No, Gilbert.
Well, what about a minibus from Tbilisi?
Never had riots in my day.
They don't make good copy, though.
You thinking of writing about it?
Well, I've got an interview with the Telegraph.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm offering them a series of articles. Cambridge College Today, how relevant in the modern world. You know the kind of stuff.
Of course, a murder story would pep it up no end.
Not without any proof, it wouldn't. Editors can be quite particular about that sort of thing. And you haven't actually got any, have you?
I will have.
You don't give up, do you?
Certainly not. Listen, if you get this commission, you'll be spending more time here in Cambridge.
That's the idea.
Well, we could have dinner or something.
All right. Thursday night.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh, Simon.
Yeah?
Bring your cruets.
Victory!
For the time being, at any rate. I must say there's something rather awesome about direct action, isn't there? Not something one would want too much of.
The politics of the grand gesture.
Well, at any rate, it seems to have done the trick. And for our next little diversion, we shall proceed to elect a new master of the college.
Oh, so we're going to have to shaft the bursar all over again.
Certainly. I'm afraid it does promise to be very bloody.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton and Jason Chan. The script editor was Paul Schlesinger, the producer was Dawn Ellis. High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
The people that walked in darkness have seen a great fight.
Light! The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light.
1,000 apologies, Dean. I was confusing good and evil with Ali and Fraser.
Let the rehearsal continue.
Is it absolutely necessary to rehearse the carol service? It has been going on for some time.
700 years.
That's about what it feels like.
And we shall stay here until we get it right.
Oh, Gilbert, do stop laughing up. The carol service will be here forever.
Merely trying to be helpful.
You got the commission?
3 articles on the theme, a Cambridge College Today. Centre of excellence or relic of the past? You know, that kind of stuff.
Sounds like fun.
Pillars or pillocks, dons or drones?
Yes, quite.
Tireless scholars, brilliant thinkers, or straw boaters and complete punters?
Have you ever thought of working for the Sun?
Look, it gets my name back in the paper. I'm allowed to be excited about it.
Oh, yeah. It gives you a good reason to talk to people. Lots of people.
And cover the election for the new master. I bet that's going to be bloody. Egos, vanities, rivalries, enmities. Oh, God, it's going to be wonderful.
And it would have been Peter, wouldn't it?
Well, if we'd wanted it.
Oh, come on. Famous television historian with an ego the size of Wales. Of course he'd have wanted it. If he hadn't been murdered.
Of course, there is a sense in college that in choosing a new master, we must send out a signal that we are part of the modern world.
Do we have a choice about being part of the modern world?
Well, sadly not, Dean. But it's a question of what form that signal should take. Some fellows feel the time is right for the college to choose its first woman master.
I am not amongst them.
I rather thought not. But the school of thought exists, and I need hardly tell you who their preferred candidate would be.
That woman will become master of this college over my dead body.
Yes, but you can see Patricia's attractions, Dean.
I have always been wholly blind to Patricia's attractions.
Oh, come. It never does to underestimate the opposition. Patricia would bring great intellectual distinction to the post, there's no denying. And she is undoubtedly a woman. Moreover, she is a working-class woman who appears to have survived the experience of being born in Oldham.
And wishes to flood the college with working-class young women in her own image.
Oh, I so agree. But if you were to take a straw poll of fellows at this early stage, and I'm afraid we must, she would enjoy a substantial body of support. Now, I recognise that from your point of view, I must appear rather secular, a little too worldly.
Not at all.
Oh, come. Who was it who said, I'm not having this college run by a desiccated calculating machine, a bloody accountant?
One says things in the heat of the moment.
Yes, of course one does, and I am a bloody accountant. I merely invite you to consider the alternative. Oh, I've made no decision, of course.
Oh, of course not. There is a way of doing these things, a way that is consonant with the settled customs of the college.
When it comes to choosing a new master, our settled custom involves blood, carnage, shattered dreams, broken egos, and visceral loathing. We shall live up to it fully.
No, not because I'm a woman, because I happen to think I'm the best candidate.
So you will be standing?
Oh, yes.
And obviously there's never been a woman master before.
This was the last college to admit women at all. Prior to that, it was a monument to monasticism. Single men doing what single men do.
I don't think I can talk about that in the Telegraph.
I mean getting drunk. Drunk monks spouting Latin and never sure if it was Vespers or Vlad the Impaler.
So, you feel the culture of the college has changed for the better since women gained equality?
Equality is about justice, it's not about changing culture. But as it happens, yes, I do think the atmosphere is rather healthier. I remember when the first women undergraduates arrived, we got together and formed the Save Heterosexuality Action Group.
Shag?
Exactly.
I don't think I can talk about that in the Telegraph either. Look, Peter Devanti.
Yes, that is a logical progression.
Did he want to be master?
Oh, God, yes. He was desperate for it. Peter was a TV star. The one thing he craved was intellectual respectability, which the mastership would have given him.
So he wanted it badly.
Such a shame, really, for Peter to crave intellectual respectability. He so lacked the basic equipment.
But if somebody else had wanted it, they'd have had to deal with Peter, wouldn't they?
I suppose they would.
How desperately do you want to be master?
Mistress, of course, in my case.
Yes, of course. You were Peter's mistress for a time, weren't you?
So were you, I seem to recall.
Oh, yeah. He ditched me too. You had quite a lot of reasons to hate Peter, didn't you?
I need hardly remind fellows of the alternative should we fail to agree on a successor to the late master.
Some failed cabinet minister will be dumped on us from a great height.
Yes, quite so. We shall spend the next 10 years deferring to some idiot who's made of shambles of the trains or the hospitals.
I would like to be able to inform fellows that one candidate commands overwhelming support in the college. Sadly, that does not appear to be so. We are therefore faced with the regrettable necessity of an election. I shall not myself be a candidate.
Oh, for shame. Why, we're not, Dean. I feel positively disenfranchised. I was so looking forward to your hustings. Vote Dean, you know it makes sense.
I repeat, I shall not be a candidate. Those who propose to stand will kindly let me know by 6 o'clock this evening.
Belgium? Why can't I go to Belgium?
You should be pleased, Simon, representing the HSE at an international conference.
Health and safety in the global context. Control of substances hazardous to health, a Latvian perspective. Oh, grief. Look, I simply cannot drop everything to attend this enthralling event.
You can and you will. You'll be expected to speak, incidentally.
What?
Well, you can't expect to go and just sit there. Let me have some ideas when you've got them.
Smoking in the workplace.
Yes, that's always a good one.
A radical approach by the devil. Eternal damnation and the future of fire safety regulations. Gnashing of teeth, a cost-benefit analysis for the National Health Service.
Simon!
Safe pitchfork regulations, a demon right.
Simon, you are going to Belgium.
Well, I just wanted a word, really.
By all means. Always a pleasure. My dear Patricia, reticence is the last thing anyone expects from you.
Yes, you're quite right. The thing is, I've decided to, let my name go forward, as they say. I'm standing for master.
I congratulate you.
And I wondered about your own intentions.
Mine?
Oh, come on. You're one of the senior fellows. You'd be a very strong candidate if you chose to stand.
And if I did, we'd attract the same supporters. Split the vote and let the bursar in by the back door?
Bluntly, yes.
Well, I'm flattered you ask, but let me put your mind at rest. I abandoned all thoughts of greatness a long time ago. I can hardly match your intellectual achievements for a start.
Oh, his biography of Elizabeth I offers the most brilliant insight ever written into the mind of the Tudor monarch.
Yes, oh yes. Well, that was 20 years ago. Our late lamented colleague Peter published 4 books in 5 years.
And they were all rubbish.
Yeah, I did find that strangely consoling, yes. Look, I would be frightfully bored by all the wretched administration. No, I will not be a candidate. For what it's worth, you will have my full support. And anything I can do, especially if it's mischievous, malicious and mucky, do ask.
Oh, poor Simon.
Not until you've sat in a room full of health and safety experts do you know the meaning of the word boredom.
And it's in Belgium.
Don't add insult to injury.
For 5 days.
We are supposed to be investigating the murder, ex-fellow of this college, remember?
Well, I'll be on the spot. Oh, listen to this. On the face of it... What?
Unnecessary verbiage. What's wrong with outwardly or superficially?
Superficially, this ancient seat of learning...
No. What is this? An heroic attempt on the world cliché record? Just Cambridge.
Superficially, Cambridge looks as it always has.
A bastion of privilege.
A bastion... Shut up and listen. But, as the colleges prepare for their carol services...
Oh, no. Spare us in thy mercy. Don't tell me. Truly, this is a bleak midwinter for higher education.
Truly, this is a bleak midwinter...
Zoe, what first attracted you to a career in journalism?
Oh, all right. So, I've just got a bit rusty.
Rusty?
Well, go on then. You do it.
Superficially, Cambridge looks the same. : You know what one of those is, don't you?
Ha-ha.
Majestic dons make pronouncements of great brilliance and quaff clarets of great vintage.
A bit OTT.
The picture is false. And as colleges prepare for their carol services, the hymn they intone, money don't get everything, it's true. What it don't get, I can't use. I want money. How's that?
Bit flowery, bit overwritten.
Well, at least I won't come back with "That's enough bleak midwinter's Ed" written on it. Impoverished students in lowly cattle sheds scandal.
Simon?
Don't bother to thank me.
Go to Belgium.
Right.
And stay there.
I may have the body of a weak and feeble woman.
Oh, no. Look, the one thing everybody knows about Elizabeth I is that she had the body of a weak and feeble woman, etc., etc. It's a cliché.
Oh.
Kind of thing that irritates examiners. Do not irritate examiners any more than is, in your case, unavoidable. You are writing about Elizabeth I, not Liz Hurley.
No.
Elizabeth I was a very, very clever woman. Your job is to write a very, very clever essay, which you have failed to do.
Right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise you were teaching.
Just finishing, actually. Do come in.
Sorry, that's only half my essay.
But it felt like so much more. Try to do a little better next week, yes?
OK, then. Bye.
You were rather hard on that young man.
If I felt that he were working hard, I would be less hard. It does become a little exasperating when loose young men think they can swan around for 3 years because Daddy owns half of South Kensington.
Does he indeed? Interesting. Gilbert, have you got a moment?
Of course. You're looking terribly conspiratorial, as if you're auditioning for the part of Peter Mandelson.
Ah.
Or Iago.
Oh, Lord.
Or possibly Uncle Abanazar, the boo-hiss villain in a very bad pantomime with lyrics by Ben Elton. What can I do for you?
Not a bad piece, Zoe. Not bad at all.
Thank you.
But I like the idea of them all at the carol service singing "Give Me Money." Very neat.
Yeah. I was quite proud of that.
All right. Well, that's fine. What's next?
I'm going to interview the bursar about his plans to give the college a modern commercial outlook. He's a sort of Gordon Brown without the laughs, the charm, and the modesty.
Mr. Simon Harrison of the British Health and Safety Executive.
Monsieur Simon Harrison, Directeur de la Santé et de Normes de Sécurité.
May I begin by saying what an honour it is to follow our German friend and his startling discourse towards a safe combine harvester. Leaving aside, as he did, the possibility that the safest thing to do with a combine harvester is to move away from it, it was, if I may borrow from Spooner, the speech of a shining wit. It was breathtaking. Indeed, it was life-sapping. But I want to talk to you about pottery. Crack pottery, toss pottery, ding battery, and why nottery.
Monsieur, I do not know toss pottery en français.
What a sheltered life you've led.
All I'm saying is, The college must live in the real world.
You're in favour of tuition fees?
They're as inevitable as they are currently inadequate. Under my leadership, this college will campaign for a fourfold increase.
And students who can't afford them?
Well, naturally, some help must be available. Look, this college will trawl the comprehensives in search of working-class talent. And, you can quote me.
Oh, I will. Oh, I have some more port.
Yeah.
Of course, some critics of the Oxford system have advocated positive discrimination in favour of children from poorer families.
Utter damn nonsense.
Right.
Well, what are we supposed to do? Wander the streets looking for muck-encrusted urchins who can't spell positive discrimination? Absurd, utterly absurd.
Right. Yes.
And since when was middle class a pejorative term? What's wrong with being middle class? No, there's something wrong with it if this college chooses that bloody woman.
Right.
Look, you're not going to quote any of this, are you?
Smoking bans. Do you know what happens when you ban smoking? Punch-ups. Vastly increased stress levels. You don't get someone smoking in your face, you get their fist instead.
Rubbish!
Oh, rubbish, is it? So what are we? Health and safety experts? Working to improve the quality of life, or ninnying, nannying and pillicking about because we're bored crazy and we'd much rather be doing something else? Oh, come on, face the facts about your sad little lives. The world has relegated you to boredom and drudgery, and now you're getting your own back. Nobody wants to be a boring bureaucrat. Well, unless they're German. Actually, no, the Belgians are fairly bureaucratic. The Swiss! Now there's a bunch of pettifogging bastards.
Pig-ignorant peasants will swamp my college. Cambridge Don, in shock claim, seat of learning will be knee-deep in whippet poo. Vivid, Bernard, positively pithy.
I had no idea I would be quoted.
My dear chap, she's a journalist. What did you think she would do?
My remarks were taken out of context.
Really? And in what context would whippet poo mean other than what it does mean? You've been quoted precisely in context. Damn it, this is exactly what you believe. Of course, we shall pretend to seek poor young people of promise, but that will be a presentational exercise to fob off the government. Hardly anybody at this college went to a comprehensive, and thank God for that. Crisp, lucid, candid.
This is a disaster.
I've learnt one thing from a lifetime of studying history. It is that what first appears a disaster is almost always a minor, trifling setback. This, on the other hand, is a disaster, yes.
Oh, dear.
3 hurt in fight at Health and Safety Conference.
Simultaneous translator off work for 6 months. It was chips and mayonnaise at the OK Corral. Oh, Simon. You know, for some reason, I knew this was going to happen.
It's Cambridge. Coming back here's what did it. I suddenly thought, what the hell am I doing with my life?
You sound like someone in a very bad musical about to burst into a very bad song. Oh, what have I done with my life? Have you still got a job?
I'm suspended pending, you know, blah, blah, blah. In other words, no.
Oh, well. Look on the bright side.
Yes?
The pubs are open.
Yep, the pubs are open.
I'm here.
Well, yes, all right, you're here.
And I've had a big check from the Daily Telegraph and a lot more work. This election has become a national news story.
I naturally and deeply regret the embarrassment which has been caused by my remarks.
An exhilarating contribution to the continuing national debate.
The college has become news. Some of us find that deplorable. Indeed, we may have to reconsider a previous undertaking.
Let me spare you the trouble, Dean. Obviously, I withdraw my candidacy for the mastership of this college.
Oh, Bernard, don't do that. Your campaign had such refreshing honesty. Dean, what's the Latin for snobbery without apology?
Superbia sine apologia, but I hardly think that's the point.
No, now you've said it, neither do I.
Gentlemen, we must face facts. In the current climate, there can only be one winner of this election. Patricia must be elected unopposed.
To demonstrate our commitment to the working class, to women, radical reform and every other damn nonsense?
We must make the best of it.
This is intolerable.
But a fait accompli.
Think of the failed cabinet minister option, Dean. That would be worse.
I repeat, it is intolerable. I will not stand for it.
But what can you do?
Well, if no one else will take on the burden of standing for the post, then I will stand for it.
But you just said you won't stand for it. Is this your reverse gear, Dean?
It is precisely because I'm not going to stand for it that I'm going to stand.
Dean, think of the younger fellows in the college. I'm not being unkind, but faced with a choice between you and Patricia... I mean, speaking for ourselves, of course.
Oh, quite. Nothing would give us greater pleasure than to see you elected. Well, some things would. Being locked in a lift with David Starkey, for example.
Gentlemen, my mind is made up. Since nobody else will take on the burden, I feel it is my duty. Whether I am to be humiliated or chosen to do great things, if I am to lead this proud and ancient college through a time of travail and difficulty, if I am to dream the impossible...
Damn it! My dear Dean, I'm not sure if you're doing Henry V or Tony I, but verily, my son, put and sock in it.
It's very good of you to talk to me, Dean.
Naturally, I deplore the fact that the private business of this college has become public property.
But the future of our great universities is a matter of legitimate public interest.
As you say.
There's been a lot of talk about young people from poorer families and how they're going to be able to come here in the future. What's your attitude?
Let me immediately dissociate myself from the unfortunate comments of my colleague, the bursar. My colleague seems to have forgotten that the college was established as a charitable foundation precisely for the sons of poorer families, that they might have access to scholarship.
So you don't really disagree with your opponent in this election?
My opponent is not a Christian, of course, but no, I have no disagreement on the principle that better ways must be found to widen access to academic excellence. My opponent is quite right. Indeed, if I may say so, she is herself testimony to the principle. For a young woman of modest beginnings to have achieved so much, she is wholly admirable.
But I thought you, hated her guts.
Oh, that is hardly the language of Christian charity, is it? No, no. If we have a difference, it is this. I am, shall we say, less dogmatic than my esteemed colleague. I want to open us out, even more than we already do, to private sector involvement. I've taken the liberty of making a start.
Really?
Oh, yes. This afternoon, the father of one of today's undergraduates, head of a large corporation, is coming down from Kensington at my invitation to announce a substantial endowment to the college. I think fellows will be pleased. May I say one more thing?
Yes, be my guest.
If there is one thing I would hope to bring to the college, and here perhaps I do part company with dear Patricia, it is this. To the parents of our young people here, I feel we have a duty to provide a settled moral order, an environment of decency. My opponent is, of course, a philosopher, and that is excellent. But for me personally, there is a difference between free thinking and loose doings.
Dean, one last question. What sort of master would Peter Devanti have made?
Peter Devanti was the opposite of everything this college stands for. He had to be stopped. Peter Devanti was a corrupter of youth. I have reason to know.
There we go.
Thanks. You mean he was actually good?
He was better than good. He was downright polished. He was quite professional. I tried to get him to slag off Patricia. He's had nothing to do with it.
Well, that stuff about moral framework.
Yeah, it'll go down well with the readers. In fact, the Dean will go down well with the readers. A sort of one-man Puritan backlash.
Almost as if he planned it.
Simon, he wasn't even going to be a candidate. He can't have planned it.
You don't actually think he could win, do you?
Well said, Dean. Moral values in education are Dean right. Young people agree with Dean. He's the cleric of cool. Bernard, your incompetence is personally responsible for this.
Well, he's not actually going to win, Gilbert. Patricia is still comfortably ahead.
It's just as well the leader writers don't have a vote then, isn't it? The Dean is a star. It's intolerable.
It is. But it'll all be over by tomorrow night and we can put him back in his box.
He'll be on any questions.
Yes, very possibly, but so what? The rest of us can get on with running the college.
I'm a dean, get me out of here. He'll be on Stars in Their Eyes doing his Cliff Richard impression. A crying, talking, sleeping, walking, living dean.
Oh, do calm down. The dean's votes do not stack up. There's nothing to worry about.
Hi.
Our salvation and our deliverance.
I need to have a word, actually.
Have several.
I've been doing a lot of thinking.
You are a philosopher, of course.
You're looking very serious, Patricia.
I've just been supervising an essay by Caroline, one of my students.
Oh, a pretty young thing from Sheffield, is that right?
She's a very bright child, very, very bright. She could get a first if she's pushed hard enough.
Don't you find that we love people who remind us of ourselves?
Well, maybe she does. The thing is, I can't give up teaching. I just can't. Teaching is what I'm for. Masters don't have time to teach, do they?
Not usually, no.
I know I'm letting people down, but if I stopped teaching, I'd be letting people like Caroline down, and that would be worse. I can't stand for Master, I'm sorry.
Bernard, would you say it's fair to call ourselves an intellectual elite?
It would be humbug to do otherwise.
We are about to achieve the most monumental cock-up in the history of elections of any kind. When this business started, some people wanted one thing, some another, and nobody wanted the bloody Dean. He wasn't even a candidate.
No.
And tomorrow night he will be elected unopposed.
Yes.
We shall win awards for this. It will stand in the annals of electoral ineptitude. It makes us look like an outpost of Florida.
The Dean, with power.
It must be stopped.
But it's too late.
It must, and it will be stopped.
I know you've got nothing else to do. Whose fault is that?
Yes, all right, don't go on. I can believe the Dean is a homicidal maniac, but he's mad enough.
Simon. Good morning, Dean.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, so difficult to perform one's duties when one is trying to juggle Newsnight, Channel 4 and the world at one, don't you find?
Oh, yes, I find that all the time.
Of course, one must never give way to the sin of pride, but I do find it all rather exhilarating.
Ah, Dean.
Good morning, Gilbert. I've heard the news about Patricia. One respects her decision, of course.
I'm sure one does.
Well, I must rush. I'm doing Libby Pervs.
How he does love it, to be sure. You're a very wicked young woman, feeding his benighted ego.
Just doing my job, sir.
Come and have a whiskey. And do join us. Simon, isn't it? You're something big in fire extinguishers.
Something like that. Well, I used to be.
No, I can't. I'm working.
Caroline, you're so desperately keen.
Sorry, I've already got a date. A whole evening with bloody Russo.
Oh, God, woman, get a life.
From now until finals, this is my life. I don't have a rich daddy like some people.
Don't be chippy. It's not my fault I went to Eton.
No, that isn't your fault.
You'll be telling me next I'm an idle, privileged waster in a place that could be more usefully filled by some horny-handed son of toil.
If I were to ever take you seriously, Richard, I probably would say that.
I am mortified. Not even a bijou trinket.
No! Excuse me. I'm Zoe Redmond. I wonder if you could spare me just a few minutes.
So, I was right.
You and Caroline didn't know what to do. She actually went to the Dean for counselling.
Ill-advised, of course, but understandable.
What did Peter actually do?
He took her for a young, impressionable kid, a bit dazzled by Cambridge, and thought he could dazzle her a bit further. With his fame and his glitzy world of television. Told her she could have a great future. He might think of offering her a job as his researcher.
Provided that...
Yes, provided she posed for him. She went straight to the Dean. He told her this was typical of Devanti's behaviour towards undergraduates.
Which indeed it was.
But she was not to worry because someone was going to put a stop to Devanti before very much longer.
What?
And that things would be different once he was running the college.
What?
Only then, he asked her whether there were in fact any photographs because he thought that he should have them for safekeeping.
But he actually said someone was going to take care of Devanti.
And that one day he would be in charge of the college.
As a journalist, how do you think this leaves his moral crusade?
Suffering a slight credibility gap, I'd say.
Sorry to disturb you, but you're going to be late for the carol service. After which I take it we shall anoint the Dean and kneel at his feet.
The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light, and they have seen the future.
That's not right.
For the future is not to them that take their picks. They shall dwell in the dark room, and their shutters shall snap.
What?
For it is written, they that flash shall be banged and walloped. They shall turn pale in the chapels of our Lord. Are you feeling all right, Dean? Woe be unto them that dean, for their negatives shall be exposed. And he saith, dance, dance, wherever ye may be, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh, God.
Finally, brethren, he that is left standing shall be thy Lord and Master. Do you know, I appear to be the only one left standing.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton and Jason Chan. The script editor was Paul Schlesinger, the producer was Dawn Ellis. High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
And I think we'll leave that one somewhere I can't see it.
Yes, Master.
It's a 14th century depiction of torture.
Really, Master?
Yeah, it was given to me by a student. He said it reminded him of 3 years being taught by me. Bernard, do come in. A glass of port for the bursar, perhaps.
Certainly, Master. You're settling in all right, Master?
I feel rather lost with all this space, to be honest.
The Master's quarters are very spacious, Master.
It's positively palatial.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, this has come as a great shock to the Dean.
I'm rather afraid I've always come as a great shock to the Dean. Constant sadness, of course, but what can one do?
Nonetheless, the fellows are, of course, delighted that you're our new Master. Master.
My dear Bernard, there is really no need for the formal address. I've never been one for pompous job titles. I've got the house, after all.
Yes.
And the library, and the wine cellar.
Your port, Master.
And the rather generous entertainment allowance. I don't need people reminding me all the time that I'm Master. I already know.
Thank you, Master.
Of course, the important thing about power is not to abuse it.
Indeed.
Some people would use the position to make mischief, to have some fun with the Dean. So tempting to give in to, what would it be called?
I believe the term is motiveless malignity.
So it is. How very intellectual of you. Bursar.
Simon Harrison, B.A. Cantab, Nebosh.
What?
The National Examining Board in Occupational Safety and Health.
Oh, yes, of course, silly of me.
Although possibly not for much longer. My disciplinary interview's on Tuesday. I may be formally stripped of my Nebosh.
Oh, dear.
I am charged with bringing the Health and Safety Executive into disrepute.
You are guilty, of course.
Well, on a pedantic reading of the evidence.
Mr. Harrison, did you or did you not tell a health and safety conference in Belgium that they were a bunch of ninnying fuss arses whose only desire was to boss the world about to compensate for their sexual impotence?
I may have said something like that.
I put it to you that you informed the said conference there are no greater fannying bureaucrats on this earth than the bloody Belgians. Oh, God, you are the bloody Belgians.
Well, possibly.
Are you, or are you not, as guilty as hell?
Well,
500 lashes and 99 years in the slammer. Next case.
Thank you for those few kind words.
Don't worry. There must be millions of opportunities for a sacked health and safety officer.
You wouldn't like to go somewhere quiet and pull your own head off, would you?
Oh, come on. I'll come and hold your hand.
You won't.
Well, I'll buy you a drink afterwards, a large one. Anyway, I must dash. I've got my next piece to write for the paper. I'm profiling the new master.
We'll see what you can get out of him. We are investigating Peter Devanti's murder, remember? Ask him whether he wants to be master so much he'd kill for it.
Before we go through your essay, there's something I want to tell you.
My essay is an illiterate disgrace to the university.
No, it's not that bad. I've been offered a job.
Oh.
Teaching philosophy in America, and I'm inclined to take it.
Oh, I see.
It's 4 times the salary.
And you're the one who's always lecturing us about the purity of scholarship.
So much easier to be pure when you're not thinking about money all the time, though. Well, don't worry, it won't be immediate, but I just thought I'd mention it. Now, what was this essay about?
Why is capitalism the triumphant philosophy of our time?
Ah, right.
I can only give you about 20 minutes. I'm showing the Minister for Higher Education around the college. Frightful bore, but I suppose it comes with the job.
So, how do you feel about being master of the oldest college in Cambridge?
Oh, I'm both Honoured and exhilarated to be chosen to lead the college, I don't deny it, despite its financial problems, which are going to occupy most of my time.
Would it be fair to say that it's been an ambition of yours?
Well, yes. Privately, I suppose it has.
Something you've planned for?
I don't know I'd go quite that far. What is it they say? How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans? No. I don't know I planned for it exactly.
I only asked because until recently everybody assumed that when the old master died, his successor was a foregone conclusion.
Did they?
Oh, come on. Peter Devanti was a celebrity historian. Well known, well connected, lots of contacts in the corridors of power. He'd have given the college a very high profile.
Yes, I suppose he would.
And then he died.
Yes.
Tragic, of course.
I was inconsolable.
But fortuitous. For you, I mean.
Well, if you care to put it like that.
And you did dislike him intensely. The two of you were barely on speaking terms?
We saw very little of him, really. He was always so busy dropping his trousers on television. And off.
Were you insanely jealous of Peter?
I don't think I'm insane. I don't think you can be master if you're insane. I must ask the Dean. I'm sure it's in the statute somewhere.
Mr. Harrison, my name is Leonard Gaskell. I'm head of personnel and administration, fog, fumes and toxic emissions.
Well done.
John Winter, head of our Cambridge office, you know.
Of course.
Hello, Simon.
And Alice, your head of department. I'm obliged to tell you that this is a disciplinary interview.
Although not in any prescriptive or negative sense.
A variety of outcomes is possible, including a final written warning, a demotion or the termination of your contract.
In an essentially positive and supportive way.
You are here to answer charges of irresponsible behaviour. Now, irresponsible behaviour to me is like a red rag to a bull. Of course, the Health and Safety Executive does not wave red rags at bulls.
The safe farming regulations?
Exactly. Now, we are here because of an occurrence in Belgium, the culmination of a long series of incidents which I propose to detail. I turn first to a policy paper you wrote for the board examining the case for a complete ban on smoking in public places. You concluded, and I quote, "Smoking bans, wherever implemented, have led to an increase in stress, conflict and petty violence."
A position which I am perfectly prepared to defend. I call it radical thinking.
I call it frivolous.
Oh, could we perhaps compromise on frivolous radical thinking?
You then went on to argue that instead of banning tobacco, the HSE should be actively involved in promoting cannabis as a means of furthering social harmony.
Yes?
You proposed a nationwide poster campaign stating, "Jelly Roll calms the soul." An official advertisement by the Health and Safety Executive.
That was a bit naughty, Simon.
Et tu, Brute.
In an email to Alice, here 3 months ago, you said this. "In general, the Health and Safety Executive is a gross waste of taxpayers' money, devoted to making taxpayers feel as oppressed, over-regulated and miserable as possible."
And I stand by that position too.
Do you stand by taking a monthly paycheck?
No, all I was saying was we'd be better off, instead of bossing people about from morning till night, to run a simple campaign saying, use your sense, be nice to people and calm down.
And where would that leave us?
Out of a job, I suppose.
Which would seem an appropriate moment for us to retire and consider our verdict.
Master, you cannot mean this. This is a joke at my expense.
No, Dean, you're quite wrong. I'm deadly serious. Look, I wasn't put on this earth to drone on about college finances. It gives me no pleasure. And I have no choice but to sell College Chapel to the highest bidder.
I feel the master's right, Dean.
We all know the problems faced by working-class kids thinking of applying to us.
Oh, spare us the red radical from Oldham.
College Chapel is bursting with plate, gold and silver. Much of it never used, much of it locked away.
So, which is being Christian, to leave it there for the Dean's benefit, or to sell it and use the money to give bursaries to poor kids?
The chapel and its contents are part of our sacred trust. Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God.
And he said, take all that you possess and give it to the poor. And the rich man went away exceeding sorrowful.
Do you know, I think I may have hit on a solution. We ring Channel 4 and tell them we've invented a new quiz format.
Name that gospel.
The Dean and Patricia.
Semi-naked, of course.
Of course. and with a plague of locusts in their underwear,
are suspended over a lake of fire,
and hurl biblical quotations at each other.
and people ring in and vote for which one gets dropped into the lake.
On the Lake of Fire hotline. Look, I will not press the point to a conclusion in my first meeting as master, but I will impress this on you. Nothing is sacred, not even the chapel. Oh, cheer up, Dean. I'm merely exploring the possibility of, selling the chapel to a rich American. But don't worry, he may take you as a mascot.
I have no intention of moving to America.
Oh, I don't know. Out in the Wild West, where men are men, you might prosper on novelty value alone.
Look, I've been Simon's line manager for 5 years. I grant you he's not an easy employee, but when it comes to the investigative side of our work, he's quite outstanding. But he has a low boredom threshold. He finds the humdrum difficult.
But humdrum is what the HSE is all about. Good habits. That's what health and safety is.
What's the good of poetry when your chip pan's on fire?
We have sufficient evidence for dismissal on grounds of gross misconduct.
Well, yes, technically we have. But couldn't we consider at least giving him one last chance?
A chance to do what? Go back to Belgium and tell the world health and safety officers are bores, bureaucrats and nitpicking pillocks?
We wouldn't want that leaking out, would we? Oh, look, Simon has got his faults, but he's got intelligence, imagination and warm humanity.
Well, he's no bloody use to us then, is he?
I've just shown the higher education minister around the college. It's one ceaseless round of fun being master.
He's not exactly an intellectual heavyweight, is he?
Well, I suppose ministers don't have to be experts in their fields, do they? The health secretary doesn't have to be a doctor. There's no logical reason why the higher education minister can't be a complete idiot.
A complete destructive idiot in his case.
Patricia, rumours have reached my ears. Are they true?
That I've been offered a teaching post in the States?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, actually.
You'd be a very great loss to the college. Not that that should affect your decision, of course, but we would be very sorry to see you go.
Yes, and I'll be sorry. But it's 4 times the salary.
Is that because teaching philosophy to Americans is 4 times as hard?
They're not all ignorant and stupid, Gilbert.
No, I'm sure. Mind you, if they're not, it makes their choice of presidents hard to explain, don't you think?
It's a good university. It's a rich university.
And as a good socialist, you feel you should redistribute some of it in your general direction?
I'm going to get lots of those jibes, aren't I? And I'm sure I deserve them. I'm only human, Gilbert. Think of being able to teach without spending half your life in meetings about college fundraising. It's all we ever do. You said so yourself.
Oh, my dear child, I would never try to stop a young British academic from crossing the pond. It's a perfectly rational thing to do. You'll get terribly fat, of course.
What?
Oh, people always do when they go to America. I use the breakfast that does it. Having breakfast in America means getting more pancakes in your mouth at once than a great white shark in a feeding frenzy.
Reuben, my new professor, is coming over to spend a couple of days with us. You'll like him. He's serious, clever, and positively slim.
And rich, by any chance?
You could always say sorry, Simon.
Do what?
Well, it is a fair point, you know, about taking the monthly paycheck and then slagging off your employer in public. I think they've been very tolerant.
Oh, don't you start.
Well, it's up to you, I suppose. All right. You can listen to my profile of the new master. Well, you're not doing anything else, are you?
Ever again, probably.
Gilbert Devlin has, until now, been one of Academ's nearly men. He nearly wrote a great work of history, but didn't. He was once nearly invited to give the Wreath lectures, but wasn't. And as a historian at the same college as TV pundit Peter Devanti, he lived in the shadow of his colleagues' fame, fortune and flamboyant phallic philanderings.
Overwritten as usual.
I like flamboyant phallic philanderings.
Well, I'm not doing anything else this afternoon.
Except sitting here and getting melancholy drunk and sorry for yourself. I wouldn't be interested in a bloke who did that. I think he was pathetic. I'd dismiss him right out of my life.
Who?
Whereas a man who was big enough to say sorry, that's my idea of a big man.
Right.
And you're not going to solve a murder sitting in a pub boo-hooing and singing Leonard Cohen songs, are you?
No.
You do realise what I'm saying in this article, don't you?
Gilbert
is our #1 suspect. You should see how pleased he is with himself. Would he murder just to become a master? You bet he would.
All right, we won't have another drink then. Zoe?
Yeah?
Flamboyant phallic philanderings.
Oh, it is for the Daily Telegraph.
You'll have heard about Patricia, of course.
Yes, I must admit I was rather hoping she would attract American money in this direction rather than the other way round.
Yeah, she is one of our few scholars of genuine international repute. I mean, what else have we got? A master who wrote one goodish book 20 years ago, a dean who published a magnum opus, The Morality of Medieval Monks, and The Bastard Sons of Medieval Monks Ride Again. The second volume rather answered the question posed by the first.
Yes.
Somebody won an award for reading, that I seem to recall.
The college does have some damn good scientists.
I'm always so reluctant to let scientists loose on wealthy American guests, though. Aren't you? I distinctly remember a potential donor we had down here to dinner. He spent 4 hours being talked at by the professor of medical science, left in an ambulance.
At least they've got some Nobel Prizes between them.
And when was the last time old man Nobel bestowed his favours on this college?
10 years ago.
Quite.
This college can't afford to lose Patricia, that's your point?
Yes, that is my point.
I wish to apologise unreservedly for what I now realise was inappropriate conduct.
Oh? What's brought this on?
If at times I have failed to express admiration for the intellectual brilliance of my superiors, it is only because words seemed somehow inadequate.
That's very positive, Simon.
It's humbug.
But it's very positive, humbug.
I now appreciate that it is a privilege to work for the Health and Safety Executive.
You do?
Yes, I do. It is time that I grew up and made something of myself. It is time that I knuckled down and buckled under.
Well, that is a change of attitude. Remarkable change of attitude.
I can do no better than quote the immortal words of Supertramp.
Who?
Take it from me, you've got to be so presentable, respectable, a dependable vegetable.
And I know John agrees with that.
If you think for yourself, they'll start calling you a radical, a liberal, an intellectual criminal.
Well, I don't think we need to detain you any longer.
There are times when all the world's asleep. The questions run too deep.
Simon!
Yes, are you not a fan of Supertramp? I can do Leonard Cohen as well.
Simon, pop music is frivolous.
The Health and Safety Executive doesn't do frivolity. I can only apologise.
Marx argued that religion was the opiate of the masses. That may have been true once, but it has been superseded by other palliatives and placebos to keep the masses docile and compliant.
Keep it simple. There's nothing the matter with the argument, but I can do without the rhetorical flourishes.
Oh, OK. I like that bit.
Philosophy examiners, dear child, like crisp argument, not flowers and flummery. Look, it's not a bad essay. Well, actually, it's quite good.
Oh, shucks. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
Get on with it.
Nonetheless, in all essentials, Marx was right.
Wow.
Sorry?
I haven't heard a student tell me that Marx was right in 10 years. Nobody thinks that. But you do.
Well, yeah.
Good for you. Why was Marx right?
Well, for example, Marx said, and let me get it right, philosophers have tried to understand the world, but the point is to change it. I agree with that.
Yes. As a matter of fact, so do I.
You really said sorry?
Handsomely. I gave them my charm, my humility, and they were smitten.
And?
And I'm not sacked. In fact, it's ironic, really. I've got to do a health and safety inspection of College Chapel.
Good. Well, that'll keep you busy.
Well, I thought about it. I thought I can't stay in Cambridge if I haven't got a job.
Exactly.
And I do have a moral obligation to find Peter's killer.
Yes, of course.
That's the only reason. For staying in Cambridge, I mean.
The only reason?
Well, nothing else to keep me here, is there? Let's have a roll.
This is very sudden, Simon.
A sausage roll.
Patricia tells me you had a most varied career.
I guess you could say that.
You spent some time at Harvard, didn't you?
I was Donald Rumsfeld Professor of Peace Studies. Before that, I held the Bill Clinton Chair of Personal Ethics.
That must have taken some holding.
Oh, but I tell you something, Gilbert. I'd give anything to spend a few years here. What a place.
It has a certain period charm.
Period charm? Doesn't it just make you feel humble?
Gilbert doesn't really do humble, do you?
I am conscious of the heavy responsibility of walking in the footsteps of Odo the Lost.
I'm sorry?
Founder of the college in 1274. He actually meant to found one in Oxford and turned left by mistake. We award a geography prize in his name to this day.
What I wouldn't give for a bit of this history.
How big a bit would you like?
You will not get away with it. There is nothing I would not do to save this chapel. I'm not a man to be trifled with.
The master has bitten off more than he can chew. He will eat humble pie.
That's all most interesting, Dean, but as a health and safety officer, can I just suggest to you that this chapel is falling to bits?
It is in need of some repair, I grant you.
It's in need of rather a lot of repair, isn't it? I'm sorry, I can't pass that organ loft. It looks as if it might come down at any minute.
It is perfectly safe.
I'm afraid I can't agree. I have to take my duties very seriously. One of these days your organist will strike up Lo He Comes with Clouds Descending, and it'll be more performance art than Sunday worship. Organ loft failed.
Dear, oh dear.
On we go. Dean, the roof.
The roof is in need of substantial work.
Yes, it really is, isn't it?
The Bible says God maketh his rain to fall on the just and on the unjust.
But it doesn't actually say, verily thou shalt knock holes in the roof to facilitate the process, does it? Roof failed. On we go. Any problems with the choir stalls?
No. Well, they are a bit splintery.
Oh, really? Does it help the choir to reach the high notes, or is suffering just good for the soul? Choir stalls failed.
You know perfectly well this college never had a master called Anselm the Fairly Unusual. Not in the 13th century or any other time.
Well, historians differ on the point.
No, they don't. The thing is, Reuben, normally the sheep get behind the master. In Anselm's case, quite the reverse applied, hence his name. Honestly, Gilbert.
One was merely trying to fill in some of the medieval detail.
And he's seriously considering this proposition, to knock the chapel down and cart it off to the States.
He's contemplating making a very serious offer. Well, why not? They did it with London Bridge. It'll raise a fortune for the college.
Well, yes.
Well, what do you mean, well, yes? Not feeling sorry for the dean, are you?
Well, no.
And we all know your opinion of religion. Damn it, you're some sort of Marxist. A Marxist in Manhattan, shortly to be.
Well, yes.
Well, this way, Reuben gets the chapel and he gets you. What would you call that? A bit of history and a bit of rough?
Gilbert, you can't do this.
Why not?
Because it's wrong.
Oh, God, philosophy.
Well, what about history? You become master of a college and start flogging off bits of it on grounds of cost-benefit analysis.
It's called modernisation.
A great deal of drivel is talked in the name of modernisation. You don't normally drivel, Gilbert.
I think you'll find the bursar is behind me.
Well, he's always been fairly unusual.
We are losing our finest scholar, Patricia. That simply makes the financial imperatives even more imperative.
So this is all my fault?
This is good work, Simon.
Is it?
You don't seem very pleased about it.
I sat there in the midst of centuries of beauty and reverence, filling out a form.
Which is your job?
Telling the Dean he had erred and strayed from the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. It felt like an offence against taste, against decency, and against history.
I hope there's not going to be any backsliding, Simon. On the basis of this report, I can tell Alice you've turned over a new leaf. Now, the next thing is to slap a prohibition order on the chapel.
What? I can't do that. Excuse me. Hello?
Simon, it's the master. I wonder if you could spare me a moment.
It is true that Marx's predictions have not come to pass. Capitalism did not fall down, the Berlin Wall did.
Ooh, what did I say to you about rhetorical flourishes?
But I like that one.
Well, I don't.
In fact, you could say that the credibility of socialism itself has fallen down like a clown's trousers. Except that I wouldn't say that because it's a rhetorical flourish. I'll cross that bit out.
Go on.
Capitalism has proved itself durable and resilient for two reasons. First, because of its infinite capacity to provide bread and circuses for the masses.
Arguably.
But the real reason is the supine capitulation of radical intellectuals who have allowed themselves to be bought off with baubles, trinkets and... Actually, that bit's a mistake.
Read it.
Radical intellectuals who have allowed themselves to be bought off with baubles, trinkets and jobs in America. The end. Sorry about that bit.
Don't ever apologise for coming into this room and saying what you think. And that is what you think?
Yes.
Even for 4 times the salary?
Especially not for that reason.
So I shouldn't take the job?
The first time we all met you, when we were freshers, you said 2 things I won't have. I won't have incoherent garbage, and I won't have hero worship from bloody students.
Oh, how very pompous of me.
Well, we thought so, yeah.
Your point being?
Well, nothing. If you're not a hero, there's nothing to be disillusioned about, is there?
Ouch.
You're quite sure you want me to do this?
Certain, my dear chap.
Gilbert!
You know, when I tell them back home I'm bringing them a real Cambridge chapel, they aren't gonna believe me.
They'd be right.
I'm sorry?
Simon Harrison, Health and Safety Executive. Some rather bad news, I'm afraid.
Yes?
Yes, I'm afraid I have to slap an order on the chapel. I cannot permit it to be knocked down and relocated to America.
Why ever not?
Not safe. Out of the question. Fundamental structural flaws. It'll have to stay where it is indefinitely. On this occasion, you're going to have to look a gift horse in the mouth. Looking a gift horse in the mouth is, of course, a breach of the safe farming regulations, but that can't be helped.
But the loss of such a windfall to the college...
I understand your feelings, Bertha, but my hands are tied. However, the news is by no means all bad.
No?
Reuben fell in love with the history of the college, with its rich medieval texture. To mitigate his disappointment, he's insisted on paying for the repairs to College Chapel.
That's wonderful.
I knew you'd think so. He's also to make a very substantial donation, out of his own pocket no less, for a new college professorship.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yes. Less wonderful, perhaps, is that he wishes it to be known as the Jimmy Connors Chair of Mathematical Logic. But I'm sure we can live with that.
Gilbert, this wouldn't be what you intended to happen all along, would it?
Did you really think I'd sell off College Chapel? Oh, ye of little faith.
Master, if I might say something. Many of you will know that I was recently offered a post in America. I have decided not to accept.
Oh, that's excellent.
La Donna Mobile.
I can always change my mind, Gilbert.
Yes, darling, and you always do.
May I ask the reason for your decision?
I felt I had to choose between a university and a theme park. A place that would tear down 700 years of history as a commodity to be transported. I just couldn't feel it was right for me. Anyway, I have students to serve here.
So we get to keep College Chapel and we get to keep Patricia. How very clever of you, Gilbert.
Malignity is seldom entirely motiveless.
Patricia, I am touched.
Yes, Dean, I know.
Sherry, courtesy of the master.
Really?
So we'd better not tell him he's our chief murder suspect. Cheers.
Dinner's about 20 minutes.
Fine. Well, come on then. Let's have a look. I published your profile.
They certainly have.
Master of the Black Arts by Zoe Redmond. I'm very impressed.
Well, I've just got to keep an eye on the food. Tell me what you think.
As Machiavellian as any spin doctor, Gilbert Devlin is truly a college master for our times. Though there is something of the knight in shining armour about him, there is definitely something of the knight. It's rather good, Zoe.
Thank you.
Bit flowery.
Knickers.
He is as charming as he is clever, but beneath the charm there is a ruthlessness, a Cambridge Don, or Don Corleone. Oh, well. It reads very well. If this academic has a moral philosophy, it is an amoral philosophy. God, I'm going to be sick. What is it?
I don't feel good. Oh, the sherry.
Sit down. Oh, my God. Zoe. Zoe. Oh, God, Zoe. Trust me, I'm a health and safety officer.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton, Stephen Hogan and Beth Chalmers. The producer was Dawn Ellis. High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
Your turn, Bertha. Who said and of whom?
Oh, very well. Who said and of whom? It's like being savaged by a dead sheep.
Oh, really? That's child's play. Dean.
Dennis Healy about Geoffrey Harper.
Yeah, your turn.
Very well. Who said and of what? God must have had a great sense of humour to invent this.
Oh, I believe it was the philosopher.
So are you, so you're disqualified.
Do you make up the rules as you go along, Gilbert?
Of course I do. I'm the master. I think that was Voltaire talking about sex.
Perfectly correct.
Hardly your subject, Dean.
God?
No, sex.
I believe it's your turn, Master.
Who said and of whom Thou noxious knave, thou jackanapes in office, thou piffling puddle of poodle-piddle.
Well, it's obviously Shakespeare.
Falstaff in Henry IV.
Very good.
Thank you.
And completely wrong.
I don't think that's Shakespeare at all. I think that's made-up Shakespeare.
How sickeningly perceptive of you. It was I.
You?
Yes. I suddenly thought, you piffling puddle of poodle-piddle. I can't imagine what put it in my head. Dean.
Well, that's cheating.
Of course it is. What's the point of being master of a Cambridge college if you can't cheat?
The master flatly denies sending us a bottle of sherry, poisoned or otherwise.
Well, somebody did.
You all right now?
Yes. Yeah, I'm fine, Simon. Thank you for making me sick.
I knew the ability would come in handy one day.
Look, somebody tried to poison me.
The sherry was addressed to me.
Well, or you, or both of us. Why?
Because we know Peter Devanti, fellow of this college, was murdered, and we're going to prove it.
And the murder method was poison.
And someone thinks we're getting very close. Well, let's get close up. I'm going to talk to the college servants.
No, I'll do it. You've got a job to go to.
Oh, you sit there and rest.
Simon.
Yes?
Thank you.
Mr. Devanti was a gentleman. He got me tickets for Strictly Come Dancing.
Right.
He'd do the same for all the porters. He took the entire college staff to meet the cast of EastEnders. You wouldn't find the Dean doing that.
Probably not, no.
He was a thoroughly nice chap.
Do you know, that's the first time I've ever heard someone use the word nice about Peter Devanti.
Oh, I can only speak as I find, sir. I'm not criticising the other fellows, of course. Not my place.
No, but if someone used the term arrogant, pompous, stuck-up pillocks about the other fellows, you wouldn't come rushing to their defence.
Not for me to say, sir.
Well, thank you for your help anyway. And you're quite sure none of your chaps was asked to deliver me a bottle of sherry last night?
Oh, no, sir. Whoever done that must have delivered it themselves.
Right. Right. Thank you.
It is insufferable.
For once, I rather agree with you, Dean.
You never agree with the Dean about anything, Gilbert. It breaches the natural order.
There's always a first time.
Yes, the ways of God are ineffable and inscrutable.
And the Dean will take an F or a scrut wherever he can find it.
Thank you, Master.
Just resuming normal service, Dean.
We are apparently to have wretched people from television crawling all over us, filming some wretched tribute to Devanti.
Rather a fitting tribute, of course. Peter spent so much of his time being crawled over by television people.
Yeah, my own view, Gilbert, is that we should welcome them.
With open trousers?
No, with open pockets. Allowing these ghastly television people to film in the college will prove highly remunerative. We can charge them the earth, and we will.
Can we never have a meeting that does not end up being about college finance?
No, sadly, Dean, we can't. That's why the bursar is such a power in the land. He always wins in the end. Don't you, bursar?
I'd merely point out that for a modicum of inconvenience we derive a most useful profit. I submit that in our current circumstances that argument is unanswerable.
And you are, as ever, right, but revolting. Oh. Very well. Is there any other business?
There is, and for once it's good news. The college has been left a bequest, specifically for the creation of a new fellowship. We may appoint a new fellow in any discipline that we choose.
So it could be theology.
No, it couldn't.
So the college servants all thought he was a gentleman?
And the Dons all thought he was something quite different. And now the BBC are making a tribute programme about him.
What do you think the Dons will actually say on camera?
The truth, I hope.
It's odd, isn't it, that the servants all worshipped him?
Not really. He was a TV star, Simon. That's why the porters loved him, and it's exactly why the fellows hated his guts.
And why one of them killed him. And tried to kill you.
Yeah.
You're all right, by the way.
I'm fine, thank you.
Anything I can do, just say.
The best thing you can do is get back to the Health and Safety Executive and remind them that they still employ you.
Was I put on this earth to check the temperatures of fridge freezers? Did I get a Cambridge degree in order to update the hard hat regulations? What shall it profit a man to put health warnings on cheeseburgers when asbestos has entered his very soul?
And the award for Best Drama Queen in a Job Centre goes to...
Zoe!
Joe! Oh, Simon, let me introduce you to Joe Drabble. Joe's a mate of mine from way back.
Hi. Hello.
And he's producing the documentary on Devanti. You don't mind if I tag along, do you?
A fellowship in corporate governance.
Is that some pompous Cambridge way of saying business studies?
Well, if you like.
I don't like, particularly.
It is high time this college moved into the modern world.
The world of polysyllabic business jargon.
Well, if that's what it takes, a fellowship in business studies would send the clearest possible signal that this college lives in the 21st century. It would be extremely popular with students.
I'm always very suspicious of anything that's popular with students. I gather that something called media studies is popular with students.
Yes,
No.
Well, all right. Perhaps not media studies, but corporate governance. Think of the business links we'll be able to develop. Think of the money.
Oh, I wish someone had told me that once I became master, I'd never be able to think of anything else. You're going to have a damn hard time getting this past the fellows, Bernard. They won't like it.
Which is why I've come to you first. I need the master's backing for this, I said to myself. Otherwise I'll get stymied by a load of historians, fossils and philosophers.
Philosophers have always disagreed about whether work is man's punishment or man's fulfilment. For example, in the Bible, God throws Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden and tells them, "In the sweat of thy brow shalt thou earn thy bread." So Eden was all playtime and work is our punishment for sin.
Yes. Yes, that's good.
But for others, work is the point of our existence. The reason Marx thought the exploitation of labour was so evil is that labour is our purpose and gives us our reason to exist. That is why capitalism is so inherently wicked.
OK.
Is writing this philosophy essay my punishment or my purpose?
Good question.
And if I am sinful, why don't I put my pen down and go round the pub?
I would use humour very sparingly in a philosophy exam if I were you. I mean, that line's all right, but don't overdo it.
Well, I meant it as a serious question.
Young woman, I've been teaching philosophy in this college for 15 years. I'll tell you what's a serious question, OK?
Yes.
Whether or not you get your first, that is a serious question.
Yes.
Now, is work our fulfilment or our life sentence? What's the answer?
Simon! We'll need to get together this week so that I can do your assessment. To review your performance on attachment to this office.
Right.
And make my judgment as to your future.
Yes, indeed.
Are you or are you not a health and safety officer?
An excellent question.
You've been given every chance. That was the point of this attachment.
You can lead a horse to water, but can you make it drink?
A health and safety executive does not lead horses to water.
No. Well, not without doing a risk assessment of the water.
We couldn't do something about the bursar, could we? Something terminal.
He is a trying chap, isn't he?
Look, I'm not a child. I know the college is losing money. I know we have to spend most of our time thinking about budgets.
Well, you can see the bursar's perspective.
But there are other perspectives. The appointment of a new fellow is an academic question, not a business one. If we felt there was a good case, we should feel free to appoint a fellow in medieval Icelandic attitudes to the female orgasm.
Do they have an attitude to the female orgasm?
Well, there you are. Somebody could spend 3 years researching it. Who was that wonderful man who got a research grant to investigate, what was it? The effects of the Viking invasions on the Champagne region of France. Off he went.
And he came back 7 years later and said, "I am now in a position to assert that the Vikings never went anywhere near the Champagne region of France, and I now propose to demonstrate in a series of learned articles that the Vikings also failed to conquer Hawaii, Barbados and California."
And the college toasted him in Veuve Clicquot and made him emeritus professor of places with no Vikings.
Well, not anymore. Now he would be excoriated or executed as an example of waste and inefficiency in the public sector.
I like waste and inefficiency. There's a perfectly good intellectual case for waste and inefficiency.
Well, I don't think I'd tell the bursar.
The bloody bursar. If he had his way, we wouldn't be giving degrees anymore. We'd be doling out national vocational qualifications designed to help students compete, blah, blah, blah.
Or every degree would be a Master of Business Administration, MBA.
More bull from America.
Yeah, I can understand that philosophy must be worried about it.
I'm not worried about it. Oh, for pity's sake, plenty of my students go into business or finance. None of my concern what they do after they've learned how to think straight, as long as they do learn how to think straight.
Yeah, point taken. As I understand it, the proposition is, let's do something about the bursar.
The proposition is, let's give the bursar a right seeing to.
Now, just relax, Bursar. This is purely a rehearsal.
Yeah, fine. OK, Mark, do you want to give us a bit? Just ignore us. We're just trying to show you in your best light.
Fine. As the bursar of this college, what was your attitude to Peter Devanti's position as a celebrity historian?
Well, I was all in favour of it, unlike some of my more antediluvian colleagues, I may say. It is true, of course, that as Peter's college, his home, if you like, we did rather bask in his reflected glory.
And do you feel that benefited the college?
Oh, certainly. A Cambridge college cannot shut itself away from the world. We are part of the world. Peter's television fame rather reminded us of that.
OK, that's lovely.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
How much?
I'm sorry?
For doing this interview, how much do I get? It's hardly an unreasonable question. You're taking up my time for the benefit of the BBC's airtime. How much?
Well, I'm just a freelance. This isn't really my area.
My dear chap, the BBC is an enormous, wealthy organisation, funded by a poll tax on the entire nation. This college, sadly, is not. You paid Peter Devanti enough.
Yes, but he was a celebrity historian, not a celebrity bursar.
Simon's attitude to paperwork is cavalier to the point of chaotic. There is no administrative system he cannot reduce to a shambles. Well, that'll have employers beating the door down.
I'm being firm but fair.
As his attachment manager in Cambridge, I have been privileged to see Simon occasionally. He seems to have taken the view that his best work was done away from the office, a view that came increasingly to be shared by his colleagues. Charming.
Are you disputing it?
I'm sure there is gold to be mined. Sadly, we do not seem to have found it despite extensive drilling. You don't like me very much, do you?
I'm a professional.
At not liking people?
At judging people for what they are.
And what I am is a useless middle-class layabout who went to Cambridge.
A new commandment I give unto ye, that ye love one another. And yet, as I stand in this Cambridge chapel, I cannot forget that Christianity has been the greatest source of evil and misery in our history. 2,000 years of the rack, the Inquisition, torture and bigotry.
That was Peter Devanti from his BBC Two series, Christ Almighty. And this is the chapel where that scene was filmed, and the man who watched appalled and aghast throughout the filming is the dean of this college.
Cut! Dean, if you'd like to walk down the aisle, we want to introduce you with some organ music.
Oh, very well.
Cut! What on earth was that?
Organ music! You said organ music to introduce the dean.
Well, not that organ music. Sandrina, dearest, where the blazes did you find that?
On a CD called Your 100 Best Organ Bits.
It's very difficult to get a job as a TV researcher. You wouldn't believe it, but it is.
Yes, I'm sure.
The competition's intense. So why do I always wind up with some prepubescent imbecile who can't run up and down and hold a clipboard at the same time?
You said organ music!
Look, Sandrina, sweetest, this is a bloody Christian chapel. Sorry, Dino, love. And what we want is some sodding reverence. Sorry, Dino. Now, what have we got on your 100 best organ bits that's religious and reverential?
We've got Bach's Trio Sonata No. 2 in C minor.
Good.
The rap version.
Bugger. Look, find the most nearly religious and solemn bit you can and let's go again. Sorry, everybody.
How a crazy pillock.
Take two and action.
And the man who watched appalled and aghast throughout the filming is the dean of this college. Dean, what did you make of Peter Devanti?
He was repellent, despicable and repugnant. As a man, as a colleague, and as an historian. He seduced the masses on television and he corrupted the youth of this college.
You mean sexually corrupted them?
Oh, my dear child, yes. He demanded sexual favours from vulnerable young undergraduates. He bewitched them with the glitz of his showbiz existence, the dazzle of the ivy and the groucho, and the promise of jobs as television researchers.
And as a colleague?
He was avaricious, meretricious, and treacherous. He was meretricious, avaricious. He was a swine.
So the dean went into one?
He went into several. They had to stop doing close-ups because he kept spitting all over the camera. It was hellfire and brimstone with occasional showers.
And he cursed Devanti as a man, a colleague, and a historian.
Well, I suppose when a fellow goes on national television and says Christianity is responsible for the evils of the world, he's hardly going to endear himself to the college dean, is he?
You know, every time we look at the dean, it makes me wonder why we bother looking anywhere else. He's got the motive. In fact, he seems to have a collection of motives. And he's stark mad.
Deep Christian faith is not proof of insanity, Simon.
I'm not saying it is, but the dean is mad.
Well, yes, he is. He's raving.
2 wings short of an angelic host.
He is right off his altar.
Well, you are.
Well, except for one thing. Whoever made the attempt on me, it wasn't the dean. The dean was at an ecumenical conference in London.
That's true.
You know, he did say one interesting thing, though, about Devanti as an historian. According to the Dean, he was a well-known plagiarist, shameless about pinching other people's work, even his students. No, that really could be a motive.
Gilbert, I restrained myself in front of the television cameras. I felt it was the right thing to do. That doesn't mean I had any illusions about Devanti.
You sound very bitter, Bernard. In what particular respect did he shatter your illusions?
I'm fully aware that it is not my principal role in this college to add to its intellectual lustre. I am the bursar. There is a view that I should leave intellectual matters alone.
And how will you do it? Your capacity for leaving intellectual matters alone is remarkable in its tenacity.
Some people might think that the appointment of a new fellow has nothing to do with me. There are even fellows at this college who think I'm some sort of idiot.
Bernard, I fear I burn on a short fuse where self-pity is concerned. Nobody thinks you're an idiot. A dry, dull accountant, possibly. A pedantic, fannying bureaucrat, certainly. An officious, annoying bore, arguably. A thundering pain in the rectum, debatably, but not an idiot.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Not at all.
You see, I wrote a book.
I didn't know this.
I don't like to talk about it. I finished it 2 years ago now.
Ah.
If it sounds like self-pity, I apologise. I wanted to prove, to prove that I was up to it. That I wasn't just the sad little accountant surrounded by all these great men and women. I'm sure it sounds ridiculous.
On the contrary, it's rather touching. I hesitate to ask,
but the book was accepted for publication. It was all set to roll. And then it didn't.
What was the book?
It was a brief, no doubt shallow, history of Christianity.
Huh? That's rather Peter's territory.
Yes. Just before publication, there was a television series. Whole chunks of our language and our conclusions were the same. My publishers accused me of lifting the whole thing from a famous, distinguished television historian.
And had you?
Well, that's just the thing. It was precisely the other way around. I hadn't pinched a word from Peter.
So, what did you do about it?
Who would have believed me?
But you must have had the manuscript.
And Peter had his television script. It was a matter of opinion whose had come first, and which of us would have been believed.
So, Peter pinched a whole series from you?
Yes.
Well, no wonder it was so bloody awful. Oh, Bernard, think of what Peter saved you from. And suppose the book had been published.
That was the intention.
But you'd have been reviewed. Not by television critics, but by proper historians. You wouldn't have liked that. The sound of hissing universal scorn. You'd have been a mockery, an object of ridicule, a laughingstock.
It may not have measured up to your standards, but it was an honest attempt to establish my intellectual credentials.
Oh, I'm not questioning your honesty. I mean, there's a sense in which yummy, 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 I've got love in my tummy was an honest attempt by somebody to establish their intellectual credentials. Oh, dear.
Perhaps now you'll understand why I didn't pursue the matter.
Poor little Bernard. Port.
I prefer sherry, Master.
This isn't going to take long, is it? I do actually have students to teach.
No, of course not. Just a few well-chosen words.
When you're ready, Mark.
As a colleague of Peter Devanti, what are your chief memories of him?
Peter Devanti was a man who didn't exist. He was a perfectly empty vessel. He had the qualities of a salesman or a barrister. Peter could believe absolutely anything with total passion for about 10 minutes. It was inevitable that he would either be Prime Minister or end up in television.
OK, Pat.
I don't know anyone called Pat.
No, right, Patricia, love it. But a man who didn't exist? It's a bit philosophical, love.
I am the Director of Studies in Philosophy.
Yes, that's great. OK, well, that's great. Let's go for it. And would you mind not smoking during the take?
I would mind, very greatly.
Right, I'm smoking. That's great. Very Simone de Beauvoir.
Oh, young man, can you spell Simone de Beauvoir?
Look, let's do a take and I'll go and kill myself.
What endeared Peter to his millions of fans was his charm. Did he carry that over into his college life?
Oh, yes. Peter did charm. He did sincerity, too, terribly well.
Did he ever try it on you?
Oh, yes. I was going to write a 26-part series on the history of philosophy in return for Favours unspecified. It'll be a hard sell, darling, but we'll get Ross Kemp to present it.
Were you jealous of Peter?
You can't be jealous of a person who doesn't exist.
Did you hate Peter?
Well, now, what exactly is the relationship between hate and contempt? Oh, sorry, bit philosophical.
Oh, I do assure you all of us hated him, Patricia included. For God's sake, Peter attempted to seduce her star pupil.
According to Zoe, she wouldn't talk about that.
Well, Patricia is very protective of her students, particularly the ones she deems to have functioning brains.
So she might have had a motive.
You still think one of us murdered him?
Well, yes.
And we're all suspects?
I'm afraid so.
How absolutely delightful.
That's not what you wanted to see me about, is it?
No, it isn't. Rather fun, though. No, would you be able to spare me a little of your time for some belated academic recognition?
What are you going to do, offer me a fellowship?
Well, now, it's odd you should mention that.
Peter Devanti brought history alive and brought it to millions. Loved for his charm, his wit, and his effortless erudition, he took BBC audiences across the Alps with Hannibal and across the seas with Columbus. He made the past live with his brilliantly inventive use of television.
Good, nice.
Which of us will ever forget his brilliant account of the Spanish Armada, in which he dropped a bowling ball into a plate of paella? How we laughed.
Can we stop it there? What do you think?
Well, it's fine as far as it goes.
You mean it doesn't go far enough?
The truth is that Peter Devanti was the most odious, repellent man I have ever met in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this meeting is to finalise our decision on the appointment of a new college fellow. As you will know, the college has been split on this issue.
Indeed.
Some amongst us have felt we should appoint an outstanding scholar in a traditional discipline, a brilliant mathematician, an inspired scientist. And others, and I refer, of course, to our esteemed bursar, believe the appointment of a new fellow should be part of the college's modernising process.
Drivel.
That our choice should reflect our belief that this college is part of the new, dynamic, business-friendly higher education that our political masters are so keen to encourage.
Ignorant Philistines.
I have come to the conclusion, as your master, that the bursar is right.
What?
Oh, yes, Dean. I do not wish to disappoint the bursar. He is such a very disappointed man already.
Master, I can hardly think...
Yes, Bernard, we know. Colleagues, I wish to present Simon Harrison, the college's new fellow in modern industrial health and safety.
Hello.
Oh, what nonsense.
Some of you may ask, is this a serious academic discipline? You deserve an answer, and will, I promise you, get one. Simon.
Thank you, Master. Fellows, I am honoured. There is much to be said about the history of industrial health and safety. With your permission, I now propose to say it. Ladies and gentlemen...
Gilbert, this is intolerable.
Patience, child, patience.
Children down coal mines and children up chimneys, asbestos poisoning and gaseous toxicity, eardrums affected by tinnitus rings.
These are a few of his favourite things.
Some children, even, found their way into prostitution. This is Whitechapel, forever linked to Jack the Ripper.
There was no subject that Peter Devanti could not link in some way to sex. One of his most controversial programmes argued that Elizabeth I was a man. Typically, Peter presented it from a transvestite club in Soho.
Good evening. Tonight, the Virgin Queen, or hooray, and up she rises.
His private life fully reflected his obsession with sex.
The college servants, they all loved him.
And he loved a number of them in return.
Well, that is much more like it.
You approve?
A cheat, a fraud, and a sex maniac? For starters.
And so, in the twinkling of an eye, we have arrived at the Factories Acts of 1833.
The twinkling of an eye? But he's been going 2.5 hours.
A mere limbering up exercise. He's barely started.
I think it's worth dwelling on the Factories Acts at some length.
Oh,
no. Because when we come to the Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974 and examine it clause by clause, We shall, I feel sure, perceive its roots in the Acts of 1833.
My bum is in agony.
Was that Aristotle or Plato, darling? Remind me.
Now, I know what you're going to say. What about Lord Roman?
Back Lord Rivers!
You must forgive the Dean. He is rather given to quoting psalms at inappropriate moments.
Well, that's it. I can't stand anymore. I can't stand it.
But this was all your idea.
It certainly was not.
Mr. Harrison, I wonder if you'd mind leaving us for a minute.
But I haven't mentioned the control of substances hazardous to health regulation.
But I'm sure you will.
But they are pivotal. They are of the essence.
Do go and have some coffee. There's a good chap.
That was intolerable.
He's more boring than that Swedish chemist we had here on secondment, and I hold you personally responsible, Bernard.
And so do I.
But I never suggested a fellow in modern industrial health and safety.
No, I don't think you can wriggle out of this one. But for you, we could have had a quiet, inoffensive scholar.
You remember that mathematics fellow who used to be here? He arrived, said nothing for months on end, then one day he walked into the dining room, said, "I've got it, but you wouldn't understand it," and didn't speak again for 23 years.
That's what we want, a mathematician, a genuine scholar.
Wrapped up in his work. Quiet.
Are we all agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes, Master.
No more nonsense about commercially relevant disciplines in a modern economic context?
As usual, Master. You win.
A very embittered man, the bursar.
After listening to you for 3 hours, I'm not surprised. And this was some devilish scheme of the Master's.
Oh, yes. Unlike most of the Master's devilish schemes, it seems to have worked.
Yeah.
When am I going to see this tape, then? They've really gone to town. Wholesale character assassination.
No more than he deserves.
You know, the more I think about it, about Peter, I mean,
What about him?
the more it seems that absolutely everybody had a reason to hate him.
Oh, yes.
Even you.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton, Martin Hyder and Lawrence Howarth. The producer was Dawn Ellis. High Table, Lower Orders by Mark Tavener.
It's called Taking Control.
And I admire you for it, Simon.
That is why I have submitted my resignation.
And I fully understand your reasons.
So to try talking me out of it would be futile.
Yes, so I won't.
You won't?
No.
Oh. Right, well, I'll take control then.
What are you actually going to do?
Oh, bit of this, bit of that. Oh, yes, first of all, I'm going to prove once and for all that my old Cambridge college is harbouring a murderer.
League tables and first-class degrees aren't everything, Master.
No, money isn't everything to a millionaire.
Our students are well-rounded.
So is the number of firsts they achieve.
Cambridge colleges are judged by their number of firsts.
Quite. And on that measurement, this college is deep in the relegation zone, correct?
Yes, indeed, Master.
So, I look to you for a substantial improvement this year. Well, come on, we must have some gems amongst the dross of our student intake. What about our science students?
No, Master. Unless they'll set the question, analyse the chemical properties of dross. That way they could write from personal experience.
Oh, dear. But our chemistry students?
Full of foreign substances, Master.
The biology students?
Too busy bonking.
Master, I do have one. A pearl amongst the swine, I mean.
Patricia, a philosophy first. Excellent.
A potential first, Master. Nothing is certain in this life.
Exam time. God, this brings it all back.
Yep, it certainly does. It was 2 days before my finals I got a Dear John letter. From you.
Yeah, it wasn't my finest hour, was it?
And plunged into drunken misery just when I should have been revising.
I've said I'm sorry.
Still, that is all in the past.
Exactly.
And so is the health and safety executive.
You've really resigned.
It's called taking control, Zoe.
Is it?
I'm going to sort out my life.
Right.
And I'm going to prove once and for all who murdered Peter Devanti. You don't believe me, do you?
Of course I do. Implicitly. Shall we have another drink?
Yes. Well, purely as an aid to thought, of course.
Oh, of course.
Such a difficult time of year, this. Such an atmosphere of worry, angst and neurosis.
And that's just the Dean.
Yeah, I am a bit concerned about our Dean.
But that's why I wanted to see you, Master. I'm always hesitant to criticise a colleague.
And what fortitude you display in overcoming your scruples.
I have only the best interests of the college at heart, Gilbert.
And so too are they all honourable men.
You must have noticed that the Dean is behaving oddly.
If the Dean didn't behave oddly, I would certainly notice.
He appears, if you will forgive the vernacular, to be giving the communion wine a seeing to.
Yes. Yes, all right, I had noticed. But well, you know, the exam season does funny things to everyone.
Hardly concerns the Dean, does it? He's been forbidden to teach students for years.
Yes. Yes, I suppose you're right. As master, I have a duty of care, even to a sad old loony.
The Dean, because he's mad.
Well, not just because he's mad, because a randy celebrity historian like Peter represented an affront to everything he stands for.
Gilbert, because he was obsessed with being master, and Devanti would have beaten him to it if he'd lived. The bursar...
No, I don't buy the bursar's a murderer, do you? Such a mousy little man, the sort of pathetic little wimp who'd be a bottom pincher, but he hasn't got the nerve.
You're very harsh on the male sex, aren't you?
Yes, and I'm always right as well.
Peter was poisoned. Poisoning's a woman's crime.
All right, Patricia, the philosopher queen.
But why?
Because Peter treated her the way he always treated women. He conquered, then he ditched. It would be a brave man who'd do that to Patricia.
I wonder, is that really a motive for murder?
And that is the basis of the Kantian moral imperative. For Kant, a human being could never be a means to an end. Every human being is an end in himself. No human being has the right to use another.
Thank you. That was very good.
Really?
It was very good. Now relax.
Some hopes.
It's all in there, Caroline. All you have to do now is let it out. You're there. You've done the hard work. The exams are the easy bit. You're very down for somebody who's going to sail through.
I got a card from my parents this morning saying we're expecting great things. I wish people would stop expecting great things.
Look, I never lie to my students, not ever. If I told you it didn't matter, I'd be lying. It does matter, doesn't it?
Yes.
You don't get two chances. A Cambridge first is like Olympic gold, and it matters very, very much.
Yes.
Yes. Of course, on the other hand...
There isn't another hand.
It's only philosophy. Philosophy's a terrible load of old cobblers. I mean, take Kant, the wazzock. Why didn't he stop warbling about moral imperatives and get a life? What was it Wittgenstein said?
Whereof we cannot speak, thereof we must remain silent.
Exactly. Well, why didn't he shut up? No need to bang on about it, was there? John Stuart Mill, now there's a really sad case. Do you know Mill was 45 when he lost his virginity? What sort of an apology for an existence is that?
45?
Precisely. So who are these miserable masturbators making your life a misery? Stuff 'em, the lot of 'em. Pathetic male inadequates. That's philosophers for you. Now, cheer up. That's an order.
Almighty and most merciful God.
Oh, sorry, have I picked a bad moment?
Almighty and most merciful God.
Are you having trouble getting through?
Most merciful God.
Long-distance information. Give unto us Memphis, Tennessee.
We have erred. We have erred. Erred is what we have done. We have most definitely erred.
How true that is.
We have erred with strange sheep.
That's not in the Book of Common Prayer.
And there is no health in us. There is no health.
Dean, I think he's saying, I'm omnipresent, old boy, so there's no need to shout.
But thou, O Lord, have mercy on us, miserable offenders! Miserable offenders!
Come on, old chap. A glass of port.
I'm required to say evensong.
I think you've been put on hold, old chap. For eternal life, press hash. There you are. You know, what you really need is a change of scene. Pity there isn't a transfer market in Dean's. We could sell you to the Vatican for 20 million quid.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Any idea what brought this on?
Gilbert, do you ever suffer from a sense of total worthlessness?
No, not at all.
In a matter of weeks, it will be the end of the academic year. Every day of that year, I've said matins, evensong with mass on Sundays. Do you have any idea how many students have attended chapel in the last year?
Surprise me.
3.
Ah.
I have striven in the service of this college to be a spiritual rudder.
But the rest of the boat has sunk. Well, yes, that would give you a sense of worthlessness.
I have sought to offer moral leadership. Do undergraduates look to the dean for moral leadership, or do they look to the shallow, the worthless?
The celebrity historians of this world.
Exactly. I have done everything in my power to resist the celebrity historians, and they have won. My life is completely without point.
Well, actually, Dean, you've got a point.
Sorry to disturb you. Are you all right, Dean? You look like a bleak midwinter on legs.
Well, the Dean has been overdoing things. Well, either that, or he's picked up something nasty from a straying sheep.
Oh, right. Well, it doesn't matter. But, Dean, what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul?
An excellent question.
I thought so. That's why I'm using it. I'll help myself, shall I?
1,000 apologies. What's with this quotation?
I'm setting an exam. I'm examining philosophy students in personal ethics.
In personal ethics?
Yes.
We have all failed.
Oh, really, Patricia? And just when I'd got a serene Dean.
We have left undone those things we ought to have done. We've done those things we ought not to have done, and there is no health in us.
Yes, I like that, but it's a bit long for an exam question.
I'd much rather not, to be honest. I'm up to my neck in revision.
And the last thing you want is to be bothered by journalists like me. I really understand, but readers would be so interested in the inside story. You know, what it's like coming up to your Cambridge finals.
What do you think it's like?
I read philosophy at this college too, remember? I know what it's like.
Well, there you are. Look, sorry, I've got to go to the library.
Look, I'll tell you what. Supposing I write something, then run it past you. How's that?
Oh, all right.
Ah, Zoe, there you are.
Oh, hello. There are times when I hate this job. I've been trying to persuade a student to talk about coming up to exams when she's coming up to exams.
Why? I mean, why not just leave her alone?
Because I need the money. I'm freelance, Simon, remember? I don't get a monthly paycheck. Oh, neither do you, of course.
Quite. Anyway, there's been a development. The Dean's gone dingbats.
Well, I can't say that's exactly a surprise.
No, just maybe, though. I've just been in the Dean's rooms going through his things.
What?
Well, he's not there. He's under sedation. I went through his books, mostly religious tomes, of course. And this.
A complete history of poisons and poisoners.
Food for thought.
The Master and I are at one about this, Patricia. This college simply must get more firsts.
Yes, well, we all agree about that. So what?
I understand you have a particularly promising young student.
Yes. And? Her fate's out of my hands at this stage.
Yes, well, not entirely. You are setting one of the examination papers, I believe?
Bernard, before you say something you'd regret, let me just stop you. Are you suggesting that I show an exam paper to a student in advance?
I am merely saying that all of us have a duty to maximise the academic performance of this college, whatever it takes.
I would die rather than give a student an advance look at an exam paper. I wouldn't do that under torture. If I did, Caroline would withdraw from the exam and report me to the examining body. Now, get out!
We really must bear in mind the interests of the college as a whole.
Don't say anything. Just turn around and get out of my sight.
Patricia, we all have a duty to the college.
Yes, we have. We have a duty to the truth. I won't even bother with a duty to scholarship. I doubt whether you could spell it. This college has suffered enough from the meretricious, the overrated, the fundamentally dishonest.
Well, if you mean our deceased celebrity historian, I agree with you. Nothing could be further from my mind than to emulate.
I'm going to pretend we didn't have this conversation. Now get out of my sight!
Simon, the health and safety executive was very sorry to lose you.
But you said it was the right decision.
Yes, but I said it sorrowfully. Let's face it, Simon, you were never happy here.
No, well, I suppose not.
Son, we may not have got on.
No, I think that's perhaps fair comment.
But I want there to be no hard feelings.
We didn't want your leaving to go unnoticed.
We were going to have a party for you, but nobody wanted to come to it.
Oh.
Good riddance to that Cambridge ponce was a typical reply, so we cancelled it.
But I'm sure they meant it positively.
Right. Yes.
And We didn't want you to leave empty-handed.
Oh, a leaving card and a present.
Well, it's not so much a card.
It's a no-smoking sign.
But some of your colleagues have signed it on the back.
The more forgiving ones.
What on earth is this? Ah, a hard hat. Just what I've always wanted.
Did you know about it or didn't you?
My dear Patricia, do calm yourself. Have some port.
I don't want port, I want an answer. You're the master of this college. Is it now our official policy to help our students to cheat in exams?
Certainly not.
Fine. So you didn't know about it?
The bursar came to me with a range of options for boosting our position in the league table. I gave a sort of generalised blessing and let him get on with it.
You did know about it, didn't you?
As master, one has so many meetings, you know. So much paper passes across one's desk.
You sound like some lying, twisting cabinet minister.
Oh, shucks, that's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. Do you cover Machiavelli in your philosophy course?
Yes, we do. And Machiavelli is a mediocre sixth former compared with you.
Really, Patricia, all these compliments. Anyone would think you were after my body.
I really, really didn't think you would stoop to this.
Oh, you know me better than that. I would stoop to absolutely anything.
And this was your leaving present?
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. I think the time I realised I didn't belong was when my boss came on New Year's Eve and told us she'd given her husband a safety blanket for Christmas.
So, madame, are you ready to order?
We'll have what we always have.
But we haven't been here in 10 years.
You remembered?
Well, this is the first restaurant you ever brought me to. Of course I remember. And you kept pressing me to have oysters, which I don't really like, but I thought, oh, well.
A dozen oysters, please.
Certainly, sir. Some wine, sir?
Oh, that's right. The waiter said, some wine, sir? I shall never forget it. With the way you looked at him, he said, I'm really rather tempted by the kiwi fruit lambrusca.
I was just a student.
Yesterday.
When I was young.
The taste of life
was sweet as rain upon my tongue.
When philosophy paints its grey in grey, then is a shape of life grown old.
Yes.
By philosophy, a shape cannot be rejuvenated but only understood. For the owl of Minerva spreads its wings only with the falling of the dusk.
Very good.
You know, I've been here 3 years and I still don't know what that means.
I've been here 20 and I haven't a clue.
Well, that's it. Revision finished. All finished.
Caroline, you'll be fine.
I won't be fine. I want to run away from it all. I'm going to let everybody down.
You're not going to let anybody down. Look, tomorrow will be a piece of cake. I set the paper, remember?
You can't tell me anything about it then, can you?
You wouldn't want me to, would you?
Oh, of course I wouldn't.
But don't worry. You'll sail through it.
And you were sick in the taxi?
After oysters and lambrusco, of course I was. And you got stuck in your zip.
I don't think we need to dwell on that.
I've never heard screams of pain like it. The girl in the next room asked me what perversion we were into because it sounded like fun.
It wasn't.
Well, neither was accident and emergency. They thought it was funny as well.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Simon, that was a marvellous dinner, right? And I'm going to go home and write my students at exam time piece.
But I'm wearing my health and safety zip. Conforms to the safe zip regulations.
When you've solved a murder, take me out to dinner again. Oh, and wear your health and safety zip. Prove to me that the Dean did it. Then we'll see.
The Dean?
Yes.
Zoe, suppose the Dean didn't do it.
What?
What does any self-respecting detective do when investigating a murder? Ask who benefits. Who is the one who stands to gain?
Of course, some universities are closing down entire departments. Pity if we had to do that.
You're loving it, aren't you?
I'm sorry?
Being master. Odd to think that Peter would have got it if he'd lived.
Oh, Bernard, the burden of responsibilities.
The trimmings, the trappings.
You make me sound like a Christmas turkey, Bernard. As if I've got a little chipolata and I've been stuffed up the cavity.
Perish the thought, master.
Of course, there are certain advantages. You know, the house is rather splendid.
It's magnificent.
Well, it has a sort of air of faded glory. Still, which of us hasn't? The college servants are terribly obliging when one is master. And the entertainment allowance would be adequate if I weren't obliged to squander it by inviting undergraduates to meet the master, 6 at a time, all term.
How tiresome for you.
Well, I didn't become master in order to meet bloody undergraduates. It's a terrible waste of decent claret.
On the subject of undergraduates, Patricia refuses to play ball. She says we should get our firsts honestly and she'll have no truck with skullduggery.
She always was one for radical thinking. I wonder if I've ever got anything in my life without skullduggery.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To make sure you're in the right place, this is the personal ethics paper for final year philosophy students. Everyone in the right exam? Good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 3 hours. Please turn over your papers and begin.
Question 1. What shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Discuss. Question 2. Nietzsche tells us that God is dead. Is he? Of what did he die?
If you need to leave the room at any time, please raise your hand. Do not attempt to speak to any other examinee.
Question 3. There are things we know, things we know we don't know, but there are some things we don't know. Consider the proposition that Donald Rumsfeld is the greatest American philosopher in history. Question 4. If a liar believes his own lies, is he then a liar? Illustrate your answer with silly drawings of current prime ministers.
Spare pens are available should your inspiration run dry.
Question 5. The salient feature of modern society is our obsession with vacuous celebrity. Do you agree? Question 6. Under what circumstances is it reasonable to speak of justifiable homicide?
Your article?
Yes?
Exam time at a top university, Zoe Redmond investigates.
My byline at the Telegraph. Not bad, is it?
It's that time again for the cream of Britain's youth. Sex and drugs and rock and roll? Not a bit of it. It's stress and pills and sweat and toil. You really do write like a dream, Zoe. A very particular sort of dream.
Well, at least I'm doing something with my life.
And I'll be sure to read the rest of it. Probably in a small room of intimate domestic purpose. You're right, though. I keep saying it was murder. It's about time I proved it. There's only one way we're going to do that.
Which is?
Induce the murderer to confess. Come on, let's go and see the master. For every Cambridge student, this is the moment of truth. But will it be their Kelly Holmes moment, or will they sit like Paula Radcliffe and sob at the roadside of academic mediocrity? Still the bloody prose.
What did you say?
What honed and lovely prose, dearest.
At least I'm in the Telegraph. Where are you?
I must, of course, begin the meeting by welcoming back the Dean.
Thank you, Master.
Quite sure you're fit to be with us, Dean? Now, don't worry about the occasional twitch or gibber. We'll quite understand.
I am in perfect sanity, thank you, Master.
How extraordinary. It reminds me of the chap who said, "Doctor, will I be able to play the piano after the operation?" Answered in the affirmative, he said, "Now there's a bloody miracle, I couldn't play it before."
Thank you, Master.
A sane Dean. Well, how splendid. Now, to business. Patricia, your eyes are shining, your cheeks are glowing. Have you met the man of your dreams, or is there something you wish to share with us?
Master, the exam results are not due to be made public just yet, but I was told, off the record last night...
Yes? Well, do share it.
My student, Caroline, I've mentioned her at this meeting before, obtained the top philosophy first in the university. Not just any old first, a starred first.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Congratulations.
This is subject to confirmation, of course, but yes, it is wonderful, it's magnificent, it is very deeply deserved.
Oh, you must offer a fellowship at once before someone else does.
At the moment, Bernard, she's under orders from me not to draw a sober breath for the rest of term. She appears to be obeying.
I congratulate you, Patricia.
As do we all. I suppose there's more bloody claret I'll have to shower on an undergraduate. Now, one other announcement. That chap Simon Harrison wishes to make an examination of Peter Devanti's old rooms. He says it's health and safety executive business.
Why?
Well, I'm told that something has come up. Something that may cause the police to reopen the case.
But, Master, this was settled months ago. The coroner reported that the death was the most tragic accident, and we all welcomed it. The report, I mean.
Yes. Well, I fear I don't know the details, but the room will be off limits to all of us from tomorrow morning.
There's nothing Nietzsche could teach about the raising of the wrist. Socrates himself was permanently...
What's that?
It's a very happy student.
Well, keep your eyes on the fellows' dining room.
You're sure one of them will come?
Yes, I told the master a little white lie that I was still with the HSE. One of them will come. The master, the dean, or the philosopher. One of them will come.
Simon.
What?
This is very romantic, being here in the dark.
I'm sure Peter's old room feels romantic to you. It doesn't to me. Now concentrate.
Oh, Simon, they're coming out. All of them.
Any of them heading this way?
I can't tell.
All right, keep very, very quiet. When I give you the signal, switch the light on.
Simon.
What?
I won't be able to see the signal because the light's off.
Well, I'll nudge you.
You could kiss me?
Shut up.
Oh my God, they're coming.
Of course they're coming. I told you they would. Good evening.
But it can't be.
Under what circumstances may we speak of justifiable homicide?
Personal ethics. Final year. And you know the ridiculous thing? You couldn't have found anything. There wasn't anything to find.
I was counting on your intellectual curiosity.
What other sort is there? Curiosity of the kneecap?
You're not supervising a student now, madam.
No, you'd never approved it, would you? It was perfect.
You poisoned the dinner.
Of course I did. Remember what the fellows ate that evening? Curried soup, duck in sweet and sour cherry sauce. He was never going to know I'd sprinkled nuts into that lot. Not till it was too late. And then I left an open bottle of nuts in his room. It looked as if he was drunk, which he was, and he'd indulged himself in the one thing he was forbidden to eat. And nobody could prove a damn thing.
I can understand why, I think. Peter had an affair with you and dumped you. He did it to every woman he could. He did it to Zoe.
Yes.
And then there was all that money and fame, the celebrity historian. And he was no good, was he? Shallow, overrated, dishonest. He stood for everything you despise.
Those were what a philosopher calls proximate causes. I mean, you're quite right, those were reasons, but the real reason... It was an experiment.
It was murder.
But it was Peter. Everyone hated Peter. I'm writing a book, The Role of Conscience in a Post-Religious Society. I wanted to see if I could get away with it inside myself. And I did. I'm not just glad he's dead. I'm totally indifferent. You see? The intellect can conquer the conscience.
I'm sure they'll let you finish the book. In prison.
But you can't prove any of it.
No. But I'm betting you won't be able to lie about it. The truth matters very much to you. As long as no one asks you directly, did you or didn't you, everything's fine. But the police will ask, you see. Very directly.
Patricia! Oh, sorry. I was going to take you out to dinner to say thank you. Am I interrupting something?
I'm rather afraid you are.
On a practical level, of course, it's all easily dealt with. We have lost a philosophy fellow and have a new one to take her place.
That's being very practical, even by my standards.
And there would have to have been a journalist on the premises.
It'll make her name, I think. No way of keeping this quiet.
It will do the college irreparable damage.
On the contrary. Morbid curiosity and rank sensationalism will triple applications.
Oh, yes. Yes, I suppose it will. We can increase our tuition fees. I must look into it.
This has come as a very great shock.
Everything always does to you, doesn't it? Come on, Dean. You and I have the traditions of a great college to preserve.
Yes, Master.
And it won't be easy now that one of our sheep has been found straying.
You know, the safety regulations concerning condoms are really most interesting.
No, they aren't, Simon.
No, they aren't.
Simon, I said yes. Yes, now.
Did you? Yes, so you did. Yeah.
I spent 3 years being taught philosophy by that woman.
Yes, you must be feeling a bit shaken.
Simon, I need you tonight.
I need you tonight, and I show you a sunset if you will stay with me till dawn.
That's our song. The words of our song.
Oh, glory be, he remembers.
Of course I remember. Zoe.
Come here.
Zoe.
What?
I've got stuck in my zip.
High Table, Lower Orders was written by Mark Tavener and starred Geoffrey Palmer, Samuel West, Sharon Small, Rebecca Front, Michael Maloney and Jonathan Coy. And also featured Emily Wachter, Nicholas Boulton and Beth Chalmers. The producer was Dawn Ellis.